Well, hello, welcome back to coverage here of the Trent Valley Kart Club round 4, which are currently just to the end of the lunch break and in the middle of our heats and sessions. My name is Jake Peach. I am bringing you live coverage and commentary today from Trent Valley Kart Club at PF International Kart Circuit in the heart of Lincolnshire. We're at round 4 now. There's my lovely face. Hello, I'm holding a mic. And there's the track guide, 1,400 metres, just under, give or take, 18 metres or so. 10 turns, 32 feet of elevation, kind of done a little bit, of course, by the bowl section, the very unique bowl section we have here at PF International. And there's the weather. I thought it would be interesting to pop this up once again because it can change, of course, right throughout the course of the day, but been very stable conditions throughout today. In previous rounds, it's spit a little bit of rain in between certain rounds and changeable mixed conditions. It's been pretty predictable, though, so far today. So we have our finals as we get into this afternoon, and throughout all of our races, I would love you to be commentating on our live chat because you are all SlipStream members. You are all dedicated to the cause. You love grassroots karting. That is why you're here and following some of maybe your drivers involved, or just actually intrigued to see some of the future stars of tomorrow in motorsport taking part in some of the most prestigious championships in the UK. Make sure you get your thoughts into us on the live chat throughout here at Trent Valley Kart Club, and we will get you as part of the broadcast. And before we get into our final races this afternoon, and what by that I mean our actual finals, we'll have some repêchages, some B finals in our junior Rotax and senior Rotax before we get into the main points paying positions. And actually, we're ready for the first one to go. So we'll get into our junior Rotax, B final and repêchage, whatever you want to call it. And let's see who's going to be lining up for this one. Our top 4 drivers from our B finals for junior and senior Rotax will make it onto the back of the grid for the final points paying positions. But here is the chance that these drivers have as part of this race. Joe Neal, Liam Dooling, Luca Matachicha, and Jacob Carnes, Tyler Mason Gray, Joshua Robinson, Jay Singh and Ted Hall finish you off on row 4. And here the engines roar up now, making their way out to the circuit. Hakeem Barr, Alex Zeki, Harvey Sargerson, Thomas Wellsford, Shay Hilton, Lydia McLaughlin, Callum Boot, who had that unlucky retirement in the previous heats, and Charlie Aball is P16. On to row 9 for Hugh Hobson, Archie Thoman Evans, Alex Goodson, Christian Kaov, and Idris George, Oliver Barton, Max Hall, and Aaron Berridge to P24. On row 13, the single Ronnie Jones in 25th for Global Karting. So, what we're focusing on in this race, if you needed a reminder, is the drivers that are going to finish in the top 4. That's what matters in this race. Doesn't matter if they're second, if they're fourth, if they're first, if they're fifth, they'll play no further part in this weekend. A really unique opportunity, a great opportunity for our drivers who had some maybe misfortune in the earlier heats to have another bite of the cherry here and get underway at PF International. They're making their way round into the tram lines. Are we away in racing? Yes, we are. Into our first B final of this afternoon. A last chance saloon for some of our drivers to get through. And, I mean, talk about last chance saloon. There's quite a few drivers that have found their way off onto the grass there and are going to very much struggle to find themselves up into the top 4 places. But leading us into turn 1 of this one and into the lead is our front runners out there, and we're just trying to actually see the live timing has failed on us, unfortunately. But when we come across the start-finish line, we'll see how they all shape up after the first lap. And here we go then, across the start-finish line. It's Joe Neal, followed by Tyler Mason-Gray, Luca Matechikir and Liam Dooling. They're in the top 4 places at the moment. They are in the positions you need to be to find your spot into the rest of this race weekend. Jay Singh, Joshua Robinson, Hakeem Butt, Welsford, Ibal and Kaov into the top 10. And down into the hairpin. Many careering down into that part of the circuit. And just trying to jump on board with the timing so we can keep you up to date. Here we go. I've got it. It's all good. It's Neil, followed by Mason Gray, Matechikir and Liam Dooling Sobate, followed by Singh, Robinson, Bart, Welsford, Ibal, Kaov, and then below the top 10 is Alex Goodson, Shay Hilton, Oliver Barton, Archie Thoman Evans and Alex Lazecki and Idris George and Harvey Sargerson, Hobson, Carnes and then Hall down to P20. But it's the top 4 that we are worried about, that we're concerned with. And that at the moment is looking like it's going to be pretty spicy, because Liam Dooling has found his way up into the lead ahead of Joe Neal and Tyler Mason-Gray and Jay Singh in this one. And it looks like these two are not going to go down without a fight. Joe Neal comes back through on Liam Dooling to take the lead in this race for now. In the midfield, plenty of battles going on all the time. But this is the battle we are most concerned with. It's at the front. It's these top 4 places. And the top 4, well, none of them have to battle. They just have to all work together to build a gap over 5th. And they'll be through to our final races. Although there's yellow flags waving into turn 1. They're going to have to be careful and behave that they don't overtake each other. Although the yellow flags just went out as they went under the bridge, so all is fine. Normal racing can resume, and Joe Neal can try and extend his lead, although Liam Dooling, if he's got anything to do with it, will maybe try and chuck up the inside. Not really close enough to challenge a move into the first hairpin, but right on the tail where he wants to be in prime position. Liam Dooling sort of found himself a little bit out of sorts here this weekend down in this race, and is more than capable of being at the front of this field with the likes of Zach Turner and Ewan House, although their pace has seemed titanic so far this weekend with both of them, and the likes of Vary. So can Liam Dooling make the actions matter louder than words and find his way in front of Joe Neal? He has dived up to the inside in the bowl as we just cut to the camera there, as he found his way through. No, he's going to have to settle back behind Joe Neal for now, although I always don't understand with these B finals. Yes, you might be further up at the back of the grid when you get into the main Rotax, Junior Rotax final in a few races time later on this evening, but just don't fight each other. What's the point? Just be sensible, be safe, get through. I know it's fun. I'm not saying it's not fun out there on the circuit, but there's no need to battle between each other, because you're going to let other drivers in for a possible sniff at a chance. And look, here comes Joshua Robinson. As soon as I mentioned that, he's starting to reel them in. And it's all starting to kind of come out in the wash a little bit, because if Robinson reels them in too much, Jason's going to be very vulnerable here, and this is where it can start to get very messy in the B final. Here you go, but you got Third trying to battle between fourth and try and jump up there. And now, look, Joshua Robinson is really in this. This was a solid four-way fight. And now Robinson, understandably, has got something to say about that, has been allowed to catch up into this top four. And now has allowed what were the chasing pack before, kind of become very critical in this top four position. So now you've got Neil and Doolin across the line, chasing and Robinson. There you go. But then Tyler Mason-Gray is very, very close to Joshua Robinson in fifth, and so is sixth. They're all very close together. There is Robinson, who is going around the outside there up to the inside. Robinson gets put up on the grass on the hill. That's not what we want to see. It's not what he wants to see either. Joshua Robinson, he'll be incensed inside his helmet. He's got to try and regain composure there. I thought he was trying to climb a mountain rather than actually climb down from the Litchfield Bridge and go down towards the first hairpin. Robinson's not going to like that one bit. It's pushed him right down to P7. And now it's sort of made a rod for his own back after chasing from fifth into fourth. And because of the challenge posed up front ahead from Charlie Aball, who's now up there in fifth, it's really mixed the order. However, these two look like they've kind of got the gentleman's agreement and the message to work together out front. Joe Neal, Liam Dooling trying to secure their place as best they can. We've got Jacing ahead of Joe Neal. They are about a second ahead of the carts behind. So these two at the front should be fine unless they start battling, which should, common sense should prevail that they shouldn't be doing that, and they just want to secure their place in the final race for Junior Rotax later on today. Gets put onto the grass, does Joshua Robinson, who's having a worse time of it, getting past all the more here by Luca, who was up there in the top three, has not been having a great sequence of this race himself. Shea Hilton, Oliver Barton still in this, but I would say your top two are away now. It really is between Singh, Mason Gray and Alex Goodson. We're on to our final lap here. Let's keep an eye on fifth and fourth, because it's the important position which is going to see our drivers, some of our drivers, progressing through to the next race. Fifth and below, it'll be the end of their weekend, and an early pack up in the paddock and a dive to the inside from Alex Goodson, trying to take fourth place. This is the crucial position. Tyler Mason-Gray back in front, but now Alex Goodson goes back into fourth. Switcheroo round the outside, comes into the Fullerton S's and towards the Mike Wilson complex. Can Alex Goodson hold off Tyler Mason-Gray for just a few more corners to book his place in the Junior Rotax final this afternoon? It's agonising for Tyler Mason-Gray, but it's just going to not be enough. He's furious, frustrated, is so close to getting through to the final for Junior Rotax, but it's going to be Joe Neal, Liam Dooling, Jay Singh and Alex Goodson that's going to... Oh, there's an incident there towards the end of the race. Not sure who that was, but it's going to be Goodson, Singh, Dooling and Neal who are going to go into the hat for our final four positions on the Junior Rotax grid. The driver that retired at the end, Archie Thoman Evans, in the Junior Rotax. Hopefully wasn't too nasty an incident. It did look like some of the car, actually some of the wing had come off, but hopefully wishing them all the best. And looked like a radiator might have been in the wars there, or been the culprit to what happened. So down towards the bottom of the field, it won't really add on insult to injury, but it won't feel good that the machinery underneath you could have held up for a little bit longer, and a little bit of a rebuild job then on that car. At the end of this one, back in the paddock here at PF International. Right roll. So we've just had our Junior Rotax runners deciding who will be going through into the final race for them this weekend. And now senior road tax drivers get the same opportunity. So from junior road tax to senior road tax, we go up an age range and the racing gets bigger and better when we get to senior road tax for now, because once again the top 4 positions is what counts today, and at the moment in this race to get through to our final grid for senior road tax later on this evening. Junior road tax, senior road tax, our final 2 races of the day when we get towards the end of proceedings for round 4 of the Trent Valley Kart Club here at PF International, and a SlipStream broadcast brought to you on Alpha Live. And waiting for the engines to start up and roar into the dummy grid. Whilst we wait for the drivers to come on out, these hallowed tracks and corners and circuits and turns will be part of something very special soon in August. Yes, entries now open for the 30th edition of Kart Masters. Drivers from all over the world coming here to compete with some of the very best in British karting as well. The prestige of winning such an event reverberating right around the globe, and we're looking forward to it here at Alpha Live. Hope you are too as well. Arthur Brownless will start us on pole though for this race. And the last chance saloon for senior road taxes: George Kay, McIver, Evelyn Bye, Rathbone, Glanville, Matthew So and Shaw on row 4. Kirkwood, Ruben Maimlock, Joshua Rudd, Rathbone, Charlie Robinson and Liam Morelli will round off the 7th and final row in this get-out cause of a race for the last 4 drivers to land on the main senior road tax grid later on this afternoon. Interesting dynamics always through these B finals, and let's see if our front 4 kind of get the message, break away, and you'd expect them to just quite comfortably and happily get across the line without letting 5th and 6th possibly into the action. Let's see how we get underway though here. We are underway, and Arthur Brownless, I think, is just about going to maintain the lead ahead of George Kay into turn 1. There's an almighty tank slapper in the background and getting pushed out wide once again. I think it was the 25er Kieran Glanville who, and there's a bit of bodywork that's just come off to the right hand side there. Just after the Litchfield Bridge. Yeah, I think Kieran Glanville got her on the grass, dipped a tyre on the outside of the start-finish straight and just about managed to collect it without spinning and keeping himself well in the mix of this race. A smaller grid this repechage in this B final, so don't count out any of the drivers that might find themselves a little bit further back. It all depends though on how quickly our front 4 pull away and in what form they kind of settle into. I mean, at the front at the moment, no such problem for Arthur Brownless, who is making sure he wins this one by a country mile, keeping the pace going and cementing that place in this evening's race. Meanwhile, George Kay is second, and there's about a 7/10 gap between second and third. I'd say it's closer between McIver and Rathbone. On your screen there, that is Rathbone. There is 4th. There is the golden ticket, the end of the Golden Way into the rest of this Sunday. And they're still battling hard, trying to keep on the toe of second place. But McIver and Rathbone keeping on track with everything in front of them at the moment, but the gap behind Rathbone and Evelyn Bye is not too big. Evelyn is very much in the mix of this one. There is the gap right there. There is Evelyn making their way round through the first couple of corners and into the bowl, bearing down on the challenge in front of them of, well, it was them going towards Robbie Rathbone. Oh, he gets spun round, tagged on the outside, the braking gets all wrong. I tried to catch who that was on the outside. Yellow flags waving into the first hairpin, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that driver playing any further part in this race. They're weakening out of this one. You can see the driver behind the barrier. An almighty whack from behind. Kieran Glanfield again. Oh, up in the walls. He dipped a tyre on the start-finish straight at the start, and then bad luck comes back to bite him once again. Gets an almighty whack into the back bumper. Unsettles the car. And unfortunately, that's going to be the end of round 4 for him at Trent Valley Kart Club this weekend. I was saying Evelyn Bye was in position to be challenging Robbie Rathbone in P4, but they've fallen down to P7. It's now Joshua Rudd in the 82, who is the next challenger, just coming into shot at the end of your picture there. There they are. So there you can see Joshua Rudd. There's the 82 with 4 minutes, plenty of time on the clock, 4 minutes 20 ticking down, with the one aim to get into that prized top 4. Samuel Kirkwood as well, if they want to be in the mix, needs to catch up with this pack to have any chance of capitalising on the last few stages of this race. There's George Kay, and these sort of, well, first place is sorted by the looks of things at the moment. Arthur Brownless 1.9 seconds ahead. But second back to 5th and 6th. Not so simple right now. There's the group. There is the all-important battle for the rest of the places. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Oh, but who's gone awfully wide there? I'm pretty sure that might have been Sam Kirkwood that's come on through. Yes, it is. Joshua Rudd went so far wide, felt like he was going to go towards Fullbeck. He outbraked himself there. Now needs to recover, regroup, because Kirkwood is now the challenger to Robbie Rathbone. And Kirkwood's got the golden opportunity there, handed on a platter to Josh Rudd, who gets, I think there's another driver, gets pretty out of shape in the background. Not the grip underneath them that they would like. And coming through the bowl once more. There's Rathbone, determined to hold on to this 4th place. But look at the pressure starting to come in now from Samuel Kirkwood. Going through the screen there, getting the braking all controlled. Nice, not getting too leery on the pedal and unsettling the machine behind. Kirkwood also needs to be careful though to pick the moment, because you could have the one crucial moment here that you might only get. You try and dive it up the inside and you'll get pushed off to the side or out the momentum of this train, and you can kiss goodbye to this 4th place. This is also crucial at the moment. Here you go. There's Brown. You saw come across the line. Kay, McIver, Rathbone, Kirkwood. Joshua Rudd looks too far away now from Kirkwood to have any chance, and up the inside, was that Kirkwood going up the bowl? In front it was. I thought it was. I think it is. I think Samuel Kirkwood got ahead, or maybe there was a pass and a repass. Maybe that's what it was. It looked like that Samuel Kirkwood dived to the inside, and then Robbie Rathbone, I think, retained the lead with a counter move straight away. So just when you thought 4th place was switching hands, it turns out there's more of that opportunity to fight. Oh, and look at this, who's coming through now? Wants a bit of the action. Ruben Mainlock. Don't count him out, because seems to be having good pace coming through there. Samuel Kirkwood is got a warning flag from race control. Just seeing on our screens. Oh, and I'm seeing on race control, this is crucial. A 5-second penalty, it looks like, has been handed out to Samuel Kirkwood, the driver challenging 4th place at the moment for Robbie Rathbone, rather. It's lots of rubbers. Samuel Kirkwood is there, all so close. Coming through your screen now. And now Ruben Mainlock. Well, I mean, it's a bit awkward because Ruben's going to try and pass on track. Is going to have the penalty for Samuel Kirkwood to then go in his favour. It's still only going to be 5th place, so he almost needs to pass Samuel Kirkwood. Unfortunately, trying to set the lap and timing screens alight, does so with a 57.84, equaling the last lap from Arthur Brownless, matching the pace out front. Here's second, George Kay and McIver. McIver pointing in, don't be distracted, let's keep going. Don't think about behind. Although McIver now thinks that they've got the pace to go around Rathbone. That's around George Kay, rather. There comes Rathbone. Looking like these top 4 positions are secure unless Ruben Mainlock gets on with it and has a sudden surge of fortune and pace on what is going to be the final lap here. We've crossed the line and Arthur Brownless is surely going to take the victory in this race with 3.8 seconds ahead now of a gap over George Kay. George Kay and Willow McIver look like they've got this one in the bag. But who's this? Who's this coming through? Ruben Mainlock, I think, has overtaken the 66. Yeah, in moving the bowl. So for 5th, can Ruben Mainlock steal and snatch a 4th place? He is reeling them in little by little, but is it going to be too little, too late? There's one final sector to go. The pace has been off the charts in the last few laps. There is Ruben Mainlock. Does he throw it down the inside of Robbie Rathbone? Wants the door to open. There's no gap for him there. Is it going to go open on the inside? There's Arthur Brownless. What's going to happen when we come out the final corner? Is Ruben Mainlock going to get towards Robbie Rathbone? No. You can see the smack of the steering wheel. It's going to stay as it is. Brownless, Kay, McIver, Rathbone. Robbie Rathbone had the pace to match Ruben Mainlock there towards the end. But Ruben Mainlock just not enough to take the victory through that one. And unfortunately, we'll be seeing no further part will Ruben Mainlock in this weekend's proceedings. There's your provisional and final results, subject to penalties. Brownless, Kay, McIver, Rathbone, Mainlock, Kirkwood, Liam Morelli, and Joshua Rudd, who fell all the way down to 8th in the end, sadly, and Evelyn Bye, who was up there in the potential hunting grounds for that 4th place. Thomas Shaw in 10th, Owen Rathbone, and Kieran Glanville down towards 12th, who had a very unfortunate race in the end, dipping the rear tyre on this straight and also, unfortunately, crashing out towards the end of the first hairpin. Right, well, that's all of the final last chance saloons for our drivers. All the drivers in our races for this afternoon are going to be in our proper finals towards the end. Our finals for the first time this afternoon is going to be towards the Minimax 950s. So this is all for silverware. This is for the trophies. From now on, our drivers that finish in the top steps of the podium, they will be celebrating on the PFI podium in the main paddock at the end of proceedings today, and will be taking home the glory to put onto their maybe ever-growing trophy cabinet, might be the first ever trophy on their trophy cabinet, taking part in owner-driver karting at PF International. And whilst we wait for our mini-maxes to come out, some of the protagonists to watch out for in this one, wanting to defend the championship lead, is Luke Millward in the X-Kart. Don't count out the likes of Riley Blakemore as well, and Freddie Blackshaw down in P8 in the championship at the moment, been racing also in the kart championship, in the national championship at Rowra last weekend, just outside the top 10. Be nice to bounce back here this weekend. And P9 Dexter Petty in the championship, and Alex Toniskis is in the final 10th top 10 position in your Minimax grid. But for the Minimax grid, actually, for this race, let's take a look and see how they're going to be lining up. Who's going to have the best chance of taking home the victory in this one? And starting on pole position, Luke Millward, there you go, had the most positive classification throughout the heats. Consistency is paying off for Luke Millward, as it is at this stage of the season into this part of the championship. Flynn Grantham is second. James Roots, who's been up there on pole in the heats, he's third. Dimitar Uznov has been battling up there too. He's fourth. Ralph Martin, Thomas Laidler, Jensen Sale goes off of the fourth row of the grid and hasn't been maybe the performance he would have liked this weekend, being right up at the front, but let's see what he can do in this final. Oscar Kenny is 8th. Akil Shioni, second in the championship. What can he do from 9th? Adam Bart, Elliot Walk, Freddie Blackshaw, Jack Fulbrook-Harmer, Finley Rhodes, Corey Lyons and Preston Howard is P16. Carver Fleming, Sheldon Hayward, Owen, Toniskis, Rio Paniutu, Simmons and Jude Devant is P24, with Dagor Sigurdsson, Jack Hill and Finley Bills in P27. Well, here we go then. The first final of the day. Who's going to claim gold on the top step of the podium in our mini-maxes? And we go around again. Just when we get excited. Our race starter, Nigel Edwards, on the gantry here at PF International. Signalled the false start, wasn't happy with how they were lining up, how they were all finding their way into the tram lines, and another opportunity to weaver those tyres. If you were Kimi Räikkönen out there, you wouldn't be weaving at all, because he just liked to drive in a straight line. You know, the iconic scenes of Abu Dhabi. So getting the grid to slow down a bit more now. Maybe the spread was too much before and wasn't to the liking. Dimitar Uznov getting the support from family watching at home and cheering us on. Nice to see your support on the live chat. Keep your comments coming through. There is Luke Millward though at the front of the field, with Flynn Grantham, who's been very much on the pace as well throughout these first sessions. Filing their way now through the final turn. They rev towards the lights, and the lights go out. We are away for your Minimax final of round 4 of the kart championship, and I think Flynn Grantham's going to lose some ground into the first turn. You can see that Luke Millward though has retained the lead out front. It's been a great start for Luke, and let's see if he can maintain it going forward. James Roots is up into second for Dan Holland Racing. Meanwhile, Ralph Martin is challenging round the outside. Surely not for both of those positions. No, not for Luke Millward, but will he get into second ahead of James Roots? What a fantastic sequence of corners. Might have been a bit too much to ask. It was too much to ask to go around the outside of Luke Millward. James Roots, though, goes back through on Flynn Grantham, retains second place. And if that's the stall that's being set out at the start of this one, we are in for a treat in the next 9 minutes and the extra lap on the end. There we go then, Luke Millward. He is wanting to claim his first win of the season in Minimax despite leading the championship. Wants that crown, wants it to taste even sweeter. Jensen Sale down to P10. He's down 3 places from the start. He's not having the best of weekends, it must be said, compared to what we've been used to seeing in 2026. I'm sure he'll do his best though to come back through the field. Meanwhile, here's your front two, Roots and Luke Millward, who's been in the past representing UK in the Rotax World Finals. He knows how to drive a strong and fast race from A to B. But James Roots also has got the pace to keep up with Luke Millward in front of him in the all-black helmet, in the X-Kart, and these two, it's turning into a 2-horse race before long. It's Millward and Roots, and then Martin is leading the best of the rest ahead of Grantham, Usnov, Laidler, Kenny, Bart, Gioni and Fulbrook Harmer further back. How's it all going to shape up? Place your predictions in the live chat. We'd love to have you as part of the show. And as part of the action, there's a yellow flag waving because of that person there. Oh no, Dimitar Usnov. He's out of this one after a strong showing. He was setting the fastest lap of the race as well. I'm not sure if the cart's just given up on him. He got put to the one side. Ricky Williams, who literally was just wishing Dimitar Usnov good luck on the live chat. I'm sorry that it hasn't come to fruition for Usnov this weekend. That's going to be the end of things there unless he can get going. I don't think he's going to. From what I can see, or actually he might have just got going. He might be tagged onto the back of the field, but understandably going to be no part to play probably in the front action here. Meanwhile, whilst all of that's been going on, James Roots is setting the timing screens alight because he's taken the lead ahead of Luke Millward. Flynn Grantham is third, Oscar Kenny, and then Thomas Laidler, followed by Adam Bart, and Fulbrook Harmer's up to 7th. And now Millward has got a task on his hands to chase back down after James Roots. Nice textbook move up the inside from Fulbrook Harmer's, finding his way up the field there. I think that was for just after they crossed the sector timing lines for 5th place ahead of Thomas Laidler. So great progress for Fulbrook Harmer in this race, and there you go, confirmed 5th place for him. Ricky Williams says no to Dimmy's retirement, or put into the side of the road at least. Unfortunate. I'm not going to claim that one as a commentator's curse though, because it happened before I read out your comment. So unfortunate for Dimmy. I'm sure he'll come back stronger. And Jensen Sale. Jensen Sale's in the pits. I've just seen. What's happened there? Oh no, Jensen Sale's in the pits. So is Dimitar Usnov. I don't know if Usnov and Jensen Sale were the two carts that got caught up with each other. That might explain things. A weekend to forget for Jensen and Usnov, and unfortunately can't have it all your own way every weekend, but you try to. I'm sure they'll be bouncing back in their respective championships in this championship as well throughout the West and the rest of the 2026 season. Beautiful move up the inside there from Fulbrook Harmer on a real charge right now. Going ahead of Oscar Kenny. There's a bit of a gap to close up to Flynn Grantham ahead. There is the gap that now lies ahead of Fulbrook Harmer. It's a roundabout. The Fulbrook Harmer to Flynn Grantham is, well, a good 1.5, 1.6 seconds. But don't write off Fulbrook Harmer with the pace that he's showing at the moment. If he can keep his head focused in front, not be too bothered by the action going on behind. Right here, between Kenny and Elliot Bork, then it could be a good thing for Fulbrook Harmer to sail away from these guys here, try and latch onto the back of 3rd place into Bobby Game Corner now. And some drivers choosing to really hug the apex there, some choosing to leave a bit of width and space. Different racing lines, always fascinating to see how different drivers approach this PF International Circuit. Luke Millward though back on the pace. It dropped down a little bit previous. Is now coming back towards him. He's within a whisker of James Roots, a tenth of a second. Coming round the Litchfield Bridge again. There's the 97 of Thomas Laidler down in 6th place. Trying to eye up a move into the inside. No, thinking better of it. Not a gap around there on Elliot Bork. Maybe on the inside. Staying line astern, not taking any risks. And that would be the last thing they would want. It's very close out front. Roots and Millward. It's steadily a 10th. It's going to be a very interesting climax at the end of this race for our two front runners. How would it play out? They go across the start-finish line now. Nothing to choose between them, apart from the fact that James Roots is in first. They're trading fastest laps between each other. The last lap, the fastest from James Roots, about a tenth and a half quicker than Luke Millward. He's dropped the gap a little bit there, but he's still well in the slipstream, well in the tow. Here they are, 2 minutes 20 on the clock. Good braking into hairpin 1. Good overtake in the background there you just saw. Further back, I think for sort of 7th or 8th place. Roots is staying firm though, he's staying steady, and now they have to be careful though, because look at Flynn Grantham coming back at them here. There he is in the rear view shot. These front two could soon become a front three. Would it be an advantage to Luke Millward, or would it actually be an advantage just to Grantham? Can he spook the both of them into worrying about each other? And Flynn Grantham comes and steals the win in about 2 or 3 laps time. Roots sets the fastest lap again, albeit by a smaller margin this time. Luke Millward is reeling him in, trimming the pace deficit down, and coming off of the Litchfield Bridge once again, down into hairpin 1. Taking as much as the apex as you can. Trying to keep with your rival. Out in front, further back. Here's this battle, this gaggle of about 5 or 6 karts together. On the inside of Oscar Kenny. Elliot Bork just holding on in front of this pack at the moment, but Oscar Kenny was challenging him hard. Down in P6. Coming through the Mike Wilson complex, the most technical part of the circuit. Getting the direction change out of your machine that you want to give you the best pace advantage. And these are valuable points all the way throughout here. Luke Millward now sets the fastest lap of the race by just over half a tenth. The race is coming back towards him now. It really is a pendulum swing that's constantly toing and froing between our front runners. This is a defensive move from the Elliot Bork though, trying to hold off Oscar Kenny. Here's your front two. James Roots, Luke Millward getting into the end game of this race. Who's got the abilities to take this one home? Luke Millward wants a win so bad. James Roots also wants a win so bad. Neither of these drivers have won so far of this season. I can pretty much guarantee by the end of this final lap, which is about to start, we're going to have a new race winner in Minimax 950. Here we go. James Roots through under the bridge for the final time. Where's Luke going to position his car? He's going to try it round the outside. Surely he hasn't pulled it off. Is he going to do it? No, there's no grip on the outside. He'll take and duck under, back off the Litchfield Bridge, take the more shallow line. Now he'll go to the outside. Is he going to commit to it round the outside? No, he brakes early and he'll try and switch back underneath James Roots. Now he's got the outside line again. Roots knows that he's there. Coming into the second hairpin. Roots has just got it at the moment. Has Luke Millward gone round the outside though? Yes, he has. The grip is there. Luke Millward comes into the Fullerton S's in first place. Retains the lead into Bobby Game corner. Can he hold on to the lead and the victory through these final few corners? Will he get his first win of the Trent Valley Kart Club Championship? It's looking all the more likely. Every single metre that he races towards the line, Luke Millward is going to win Minimax 950 for the first time in 2026. A fantastic drive from both our drivers there. Millward finishes ahead of James Roots, who goes on waiting for that victory. Flynn Grantham gets on the podium for third. Fulbrook Karma is in fourth. Elliot Bork, Adam Barr, Oscar Kenny, Rhodes Paniutu, and Thomas Laidler in P10. Congratulations to Luke Millward. I know it's been a steady progression easing into this season. He was awaiting his first win, and now he has it. And there you go. Minimax 950 done. Our first trophies sorted for the podium. And I think Luke's going to be a very happy bunny indeed. The top 10 are Millward, Roots, Grantham, Fulbrook Karma, Bork, Bart, Kenny, Rhodes, Paniutu and Laidler, with some valuable points going into the rest of the championship. Elliot Bork in fifth as well. He's currently sitting P6 in the standings in the championship. So just remember, it's the long game. It's not just about who wins or who isn't there. If you can be consistently scoring a big load of points, you will find yourself in a very good position. Very good for Luke though. Top of the championship before that race. And he's just won his first race of the season. Let's go from an enthralling Minimax 950 final to our Micromax and Water Swifts. Well, there we have it. That was quite incredible as a battle towards the end between our two front runners of Millward coming out on top there in the end, and all of our other drivers in that race deservedly, well, just getting the plaudits of all of our spectators here at the track and maybe you watching at home as well. James Roots and Luke Millward with a battle for the Minimax ages. We now go to Micromax and Water Swift Restricted, and let's see who's shaping up for this one in this final. Hendrix Falat is on pole position. Jensen Darlow is also on the front row. Harry Riley, Kyle Vieira, William Hatton and Felix Tandy, with Robbie Lyons and Cooper Devant alongside on row 4. Lucas Seabright, Will Wainwright will want to be towards the front of this one. He had the pace in the heats and he finds himself further down there as there's some bad fortune in the earlier races. Anthony Ray, Jack Gould, Brady Atkin, Lani Eden, Malachi O'Neill and Maxwell Sullivan is on row 8. And then for your Water Swift Restricted machines, it's Ollie West, Kaiden Hukara, Charlie Kitchen, George Askew, Max St. Hilaire and Riley Aston Wilkins, followed by Marley Hibbert and James Ferguson. So as the drivers are making their way round and forming up the grid, as is the procedure, Jensen Darlow is not really, if I'm honest, he's been up there in the sort of the top 3, but does he have the pace ahead of Hendrix Falat, who has been mighty this weekend as well? Does Jensen Darlow have the pace to take the victory in this one? He certainly knows all about PFI, but will he know about it enough in this one? They're in the tram lines, and we are roaring towards the start-finish line. We are underway, and Jensen Darlow gets absolutely dumped on the start. And is it going to be a dump on the start? What an absolute amazing getaway from whoever was in, I'm pretty sure, 4th there. Was that Caio Vieira into first place? It was. What an amazing jump from Caio Vieira off the grid, who caught Jensen Darlow napping, and then around the outside into the chicane and into turn 1, and just about keeping it on the track there. Will Wainwright bumping into one of the rivals in front of him into his front bumper. And I don't know how he kept that going, but he did. There he is, in the walls already on the first lap. And trusting that the driver there on the inside was going to let him go through Lucas Seabright. And I think he did. They were respecting each other. And that two wouldn't go into one. But Caio Vieira, what an amazing getaway at the start there. And there he goes into the lead, but he does have a lot of company behind. And so does Hendrix Falat from Tandy. These four absolutely nose to tail already in this race. And Jensen Darlow trying to recover around the inside, I should say, up the inside. I'm pretty sure that was Harry Riley on Felix Tandy now. Felix down to 4th place as they come into the first hairpin. On the outside though, Harry Riley is going to get passed by Hendrix Falat once again. And now it's Caio Vieira and Falat in 1st and 2nd. Caio Vieira 4th in the championship. At the moment he's been having some good momentum of late. He's been out at the... Oh, and who's that out before we get to that? That's the 23. I'm trying to see who the 23... Oh, Brady Atkin is out, who was down towards the back of the grid in 17th at the moment. And unfortunate for Brady. We won't be seeing any further part of him in this race and bounce back hopefully for round 5 of the Trent Valley Kart Club in a couple of months' time. But these two are having a right old ding-dong. Harry Riley and Felix Tandy. Tandy takes 3rd, back off of Riley. The two out front of Caio Vieira out in front, which is what I was going to say. He's P4 in the championship at the moment. He's been out at the B&L series at Genk and is leading the way in Wilton Mill Kart Club. So Caio Vieira might be a name that we've featured at the front as much as some of us might like to think in 2026 so far. But here he is, leading this one. And Hendrix Falat back on the scene in 2026. And it's going to be even more difficult for Hendrix Falat now because he's got a 5-second penalty handed to him by Race Control. I think he's just seen the penalty come up on the board. He's going to pass Caio Vieira anyway, and so is Felix Tandy. And now this completely changes the complexion of this race. Falat is in 1st, I say that. Felix Tandy is now in 1st. To the lead is Felix Tandy, who doesn't need an invitation to go up the inside and try and replicate what he did in round 3. He won this race last time out, a month ago. Took victory, and he's come back through the field throughout the weekend at the right time. And we've been talking about him down in sort of 3rd and 4th and 5th today, but not up towards the lead of the race. We know he's capable of it though. We know, we saw it in the last round. Hendrix Falat, we know he's capable of a win as well. He was a winner in round 1. He's sitting there now in 2nd behind Tandy. 5.5 minutes to go in this one though. There's 10 minutes in all of our finals, remember. 10 minutes plus 1 lap. Our heats are 8 minutes plus 1 lap. So a little bit more endurance, a little bit more stamina. Longer time to think about how a race might progress. The time you might want to strike to go in front of your rival. Tandy has got plenty of company behind, but here, further back, Jensen Darlow battling away with Will Wainwright, and Will Wainwright goes ahead of Jensen Darlow now for 5th place. Jensen not finding the groove in this race that he was wanted to have at the start. He started on the front row, and that now is sitting with Felix Tandy, who's up 5 places in this race. Ollie West, again, out driving his water-drift restricted machine. He was in the top 6, I think, in the last heats for this class, and he's mixing it in with the likes of the other Micromax machines. sitting there in 8th place at the moment overall in the field. Fastest lap of the race for Hendrik Falat, although he's got a 5-second penalty. To his name, or at least I thought he did. It looks like the penalty is taken away. Malachi O'Neill has got a 5-second penalty now himself. I'm pretty sure I saw a penalty for Hendrik Falat not too long ago. But it's not there anymore, so I guess if I'm just dreaming things and making it up, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe race control have rescinded that and thought otherwise. And now, well then, Hendrik Falat is very much then still in this race. Looking like he was out of this one, and Felix Tandy was going to have this one in the bag no matter what. But now, it really is on, because Hendrik Falat is all over the back of Felix Tandy. And Kai Vieira, who was leading the early stages of this race, is still thereabouts, in 3rd. Hanging on to these two and waiting, ready to pounce if these two make a mistake. And through the first hairpin, none of the such at the moment. But Felix trying to edge his car out of the corner, trying to jump it along and get a bit of extra momentum. I don't know how much that actually... Do you think it makes much of a difference? It feels like it does. I guess every millisecond counts. For Tandy, it will certainly feel like it's helping him along at the front. Get out of the exit of those corners. Ducks the head to try and reduce the drag. Down the start-finish straight. Looks over his shoulder. Knows that Falat is there, but needs to know a little bit more. Caio Vieira is now coming back at these two with the fastest lap. Over a tenth quicker. Look at the move though for Tandy. Trying to defend from Falat. He just about almost has to go into an offensive mode to fend off Hendrik Falat, who was challenging round the outside. Had to position his kart perfectly on the Litchfield Bridge and lives to fight another day for the moment. Meanwhile, this is allowing Caio Vieira to stick right with them at the moment. Those three neck and neck, nothing to choose between them. Although for Caio Vieira, there's about a tenth and a half to choose between them, because he's setting the pace out there at the moment. He is on par with these two at the front. Felix Tandy crosses the start-finish line. Who's got the fastest lap still? It's Caio Vieira, still holding the pace out there, setting the timing screens alight. Tandy, Falat, Vieira, and Wainwright now is quite a way back, around about 1.6 seconds behind, but you're now starting to see Wainwright in the rear picture. Is Tandy holding these other two up front back a little bit, or is it just Wainwright has found this extra pace out of nowhere and is starting to become something of its own? Felix Tandy looks over constantly over his right shoulder. He's checking where Falat's going to dive for the inside. The advantage in this situation in the Hunter. Felix Tandy does not want to become the hunted. Vieira is the sneaky one at the back, trying to poach them both in one foul swoop. How are they going to get on? Falat's going for it up the inside, thinks he's got the pace. Tandy has to back out of the corner briefly and settle for second place for now. Vieira takes advantage of that, goes up the inside. Caio Vieira is second, and now Vieira has his say at going after the lead. We're on the penultimate lap. We come down to the first hairpin. And you can see Caio Vieira pointing to Tandy to go after Falat, because they know they need to work together. Otherwise, Falat is going to repeat what he did in round one and drive off into the sunset on this final lap. And the other ones will find themselves scrapping to try and chase after him before it's too late. Bobby Game corner now coming through into the Mike Wilson complex. Hugging that long apex and then round, longing to the left, a quick left and a flick right over the curbs and onto the start-finish straight. I don't know which way this is going to finish. We'll find out in 1,400 metres time who's going to take victory in Micromax and Water Swift Restricted. Defensive line from Falat straight away. They have to be mindful of Tandy behind. Tandy on the inside. He's up to second. Tandy ahead of Caio Vieira. Falat still in first. Tandy's just about ahead. Is Tandy going to have the move to go up the inside? He's being chased back by Vieira, who's got it on the inside. Tandy will have the inside for the next hairpin though. He's covered that move off for now. Does he have enough left in the tyres underneath him, Tandy, to challenge Hendrix Falat? It's looking more and more difficult with every single corner that comes his way. What's Tandy going to do here into the final few corners? Hendrix Falat, all he's got to do is keep it straight. Tandy goes into the back of Falat. He's trying to find a move up the inside. This is the final chance, the final corner. The checker flag is out. Is it going to be a drag race to the line? He covers off Tandy. It's so close. Ooh! And that is about as defensive as you'd get towards the end of a race. Falat just about keeps in front of Felix Tandy, Caio Vieira, Will Wainwright, Jensen Darlow in fifth in the end. Look at this in the Water Swift Restricted as well. Ollie West again, completely outdriving his machine in sixth. Harry Riley, William Hatton, Jack Gould and Robbie Lyons rounds off your top 10. And that at the end there was desperation, but on the edge from Falat to hold on to that victory because Tandy was bearing down. And there you have it, your provisional results. Falat, the winner for the second time this season, and becomes the first double race winner in this 2026 Micromax class in the Trent Valley Kart Club Championship. Well, there we are. 2 trophies sorted, 2 podiums sorted, more points in the bag for our drivers and our teams facing off this weekend. So we'll go swiftly from Micromax and, pardon the pun, into Micromax and we're going to Water Swift next, aren't we? Fully Water Swift. Yeah, Micromax Water Restricted. Now, the not restricted Water Swifts. We're just going to wait for one of the karts to be put up on the jacks in the middle of the circuit at the moment, who didn't fancy, unfortunately, finishing that race. And then, there you go, up onto the jacks. And going to be coming through that little gap there, just across the hairpin. There's a great exit access here at PF International, which, compared to some of the other tracks in the UK, it makes for disruptions much more minimal between the races and finding a way through, and just waiting for those drivers then to come off the track and the one kart come off there, and then we'll get underway for our Water Swift Inter final for this afternoon. Make sure you keep your comments coming in on the live chat, so make sure that you are supporting the drivers out there on our Alpha Live YouTube channel. If you're here watching at PF International this weekend as well, make sure that you get involved as well on the live broadcast and show who you are supporting so far this weekend. And into the final stages of this weekend, talking of our final now for Water Swift Inter, so let's take a look at the grid then and see how we are shaping up. And this I've been looking forward to all morning and afternoon since we've seen what's happened in the other races. Alfie Davidson is on pole. Mason Hibbert, his teammate, is second. These two have had quite the scrap right throughout this weekend. How's it going to finish? Who's going to take home the crown? Might it be actually Chester Forks, and it'll be neither of them. He's in third. Harry Chapman, Albie J. Stubbs, Ethan Owen, followed by Reggie Chandler and Bodie Batch in 8th. Ilias Sami, Ivans Veronins, Rudra Golkanath, known as the Kart Geezer, Cody Vertigan, Travis Giddings, Hugo Williamson, Max Risby and Oliver Kleinfelter. Frank Morris is in P17, George Greaves, Kieran Brooks, Joshua Knighton and Jesus Bartulos is there for you in your final position. Well, here they are then, warming up. And it won't be too long before we get underway with this one. And they're finding their way round the final corner. And here we go then. Into the tram lines for our Walter Swift Inter category. Who's going to come out on top in this one? We'll find out very soon as they go across the line to start the race and into the first corner. And I think one of the Future Motorsport drivers has fallen way down the order. Who has found themselves out in front? Is that Chester Fawkes from third? Into second. He's made his starts count. Way better this time. Yeah, look, Chester Fawkes has split the two Fusion drivers and now he's coming up on the inside. He's going to take the lead. Chester Fawkes into the lead. Ahead of Mason Hibbert out front. And Alfie Davidson. Alfie Davidson was in the lead. Now Chester Fawkes is there. And now Alfie Davidson is back through. And so is Mason Hibbert. What have they got in those Fusion Motorsport cars? Chester Fawkes had no answer to the reply off the corner. And now Chester Fawkes is losing out. Look, all the carts going up on his inside. He's fallen right down the order. He was up there at the very front of this race at the start of this lap. And all of a sudden, he's fallen right down through to the back part of the grid, down to 6th place. It's Davidson, followed by Hibbert, Albie J. Stubbs, Bodie Batch, Harry Chapman, Chester Fawkes, Ilias Sami, Ethan Owen, Reggie Chandler, and Ivans Veronins in P10. Cody Vertigan is just outside the top 10 right now in P11, but this is already spicing up a lot in the first stages of the race. Chester Fawkes has to go defensive on Ilias Sami. He stays defensive, hugs the inside, and this is not where Chester Fawkes probably thought he was going to be in this part of the race. He's trying to go up the inside. And now Chester Fawkes finds himself further back, but just about cemented a little bit into the place where he finds himself in 5th right now. I think there was a move around the outside there, just coming round the final corner and across the curb. And there was Bodie Batch then ahead of Chester Fawkes. It was an incredible move round the outside of the final corner and up into the bowl section once again. But look at these two drivers at the front. Alfie Davidson, Mason Hibbert separated by absolutely nothing. Then further back to their other teammate in Batch. There's like a 2-second gap almost. Class of the field, these two at the front, Davidson and Hibbert, all this weekend. Chester Fawkes there, going back through on Bodie Batch, who is now in 3rd, and the 3rd Fusion Motorsport teammate of Bodie Batch can't hold on to a 1-2-3 for the team. So it's Chester Fawkes who's going to retake the podium for now. Whether it will stay like that remains to be seen. Our front two, though, sailing off into the distance. There they are, and there's the gap. Chester Fawkes, the best of the rest. Bodie Batch, Albie J. Stubbs, Ethan Owen, Harry Chapman, Ilias Sami, Ivans Veronins and Reggie Chandler still in the top 10. Trying to move round the inside there was Ilias Sami on Harry Chapman. And Chester Fawkes now breaking into the hairpin. These two on the brakes, the battle of the brakes. Who's going to brake later? It looked like Ethan Owen braked that little bit later ahead of Elias Sammy, retains the place. It's always really interesting when you kind of almost looks like you have to get really offensive to be defensive. Sometimes attack is the best form of defence, as we hear a lot throughout just sports in general, but couldn't be further true in karting as well. And there is your front two. I am, honestly, it's going to get to the final 2 laps, isn't it? And we're going to be wondering how on earth this is going to finish. And Chester Fawkes knows that, I'd like to think that he knows, and he's aware that in the earlier races, these two had a interesting finish, especially in the first heat. The second heat, they agreed, it looked like, to stay where they were after having a bit of a chat maybe in the Fusion Motorsport awning. But Chester Fawkes knows if these two don't play by ball, it could get very messy in the final stages of this race. And Chester Fawkes will be there to clean up and take the victory in Water Swifts at the moment. But there'd have to be a massive, massive judgment of error from these two to present an opportunity to Chester at the moment, who's getting dropped all the more by these two at the front. Coming through the chicane, once again, been hearing actually about the planned track changes here at PF International to make the racing safer, and changing the configuration of that first section there under the bridge and through the chicane. It hasn't happened yet. It'll be happening possibly in a few months' time and will completely change the dynamic of the first part of this circuit. But for now, it's what the drivers know through the first part of the track, and then into sector 2 and sector 3. And I'm liking I'm liking what Dirk is saying on the live chat, where he's basically, you've done a ship name, haven't you, between our front two drivers of Mason Hibbert and Davidson, where you called it Hibbertson. It's, yes, Hibbertson is definitely the topic of the day between our front two drivers, because it is like the battle of all teammates, of classic teammates, right throughout the years. It's like a Senna and Prost. It's like a Hamilton and Rosberg. It's like a Norris and Piastri. It's a Davidson and Hibbert in this instance here at the Water Swift Finals right now. And there's a Fusion Motorsport driver of Bodie Batch trying to regain some composure back through the field and up to 4th ahead of LBJ Stubbs. And Harry Chapman also jumping up the field as well. Reggie Chandler dropping right down the order, nearly outside the top 10, down to P9. And through the final few corners, once again, they kiss the curb on that left-hand side, and they'll come on through. And look at Batch signalling to drivers behind, work with me, and that has instantly not worked, because Harry Chapman wants to go up the inside and takes that place like taking candy from a baby, but has to defend it real hard. And look at the, wow, where did that come from? Bodie Batch did not want that to stick, and you could tell, because on the brakes, I think that's the latest I've ever seen anyone brake into the first hairpin at PF International, and takes back 2 or 3 places in one corner. Wow, clearly aggrieved from Chapman not working together in the previous few corners. Absolutely sent it into the first hairpin here at PF International, and that is all she wrote for now. Fantastic overtake. Wow, I think that's the overtake of the weekend so far, even if it means for being P4 at the moment and not the front of the race. You can see the drivers getting really frustrated though behind Bodie Batch right now, including that of Ethan Owen, where there's just absolutely no opportunity opening at the moment to go around the outside, up the inside. The defensive driving from Batch comes out here with a minute on the clock, and it's going to be almost the same kind of tactic there, further back from Albie J. Stubbs of what Batch did not too long ago. But unfortunately that doesn't actually work out very well, because I think Stubbs has lost out to Elias Sammy as Harry Chapman goes up the inside of Ethan Owen into P5. And there you go, J. Stubbs falling down the order, trying to replicate the move that the rival did a few corners before that. Not coming out on top though, and actually hindering the race even more. Look at the gap that Bodie has been able to build because of all of this battling going on there, and Harry Chapman coming out into the lead. Chester Fawkes looks like he's got this race in P3 absolutely in the bag. Oh, and we've lost the battery for one on cameras. There we go. It's going to happen. It's a hot day. We'll get that back with us soon, but plenty of others to capture the action in the meanwhile of these final stages of the Walter Swift Inter class at Trent Valley Kart Club. We're on our penultimate lap, and there's some good old defensive driving going on out there. But between these two, I don't know what's happened between Davidson and Hibbert when we're away from these two, but it looks like Hibbert might have gone and tried for a move on Davidson in the recent stages of this race. And now Alfie Davidson leads out in the lead, leads out in front in first place, ahead of Hibbert. And I think for Hibbert it's actually going to be quite a tall order to close that gap down in the remainder of this race. Meanwhile, is Bodie Batch back at the front of this group again? Yes, it says Ivans Veronins, but Batch is at the front, has managed to retain fourth. Will he keep fourth by the end of this lap though? It's going to be a win for Alfie Davidson by the looks of it at the front. We'll stay as long as we can with this battle here. Batch is just holding off all of these drivers. Look at the defensive driving that has been happening for the last few corners. Sweaving as much as legally possible to hold the place. Is Batch going to hold that position? We're not going to find out till the start-finish line. Alfie Davidson takes the victory ahead of Davidson. Where is Batch going to come out? Chester Fawkes is third. Where is Batch going to come out? Batch is not going to be fourth. Batch is going to be all the way down in, oh my goodness, in ninth. What happened there? Ethan Owen and Elias Sammy in the end taking fourth place. It was all happening in those final few stages in the final complex. And Bodie Batch so desperately trying to hold on to the fourth place, the best of the rest in what turned out to be in the rest of that race, was not the one, and then ended up sacrificing right down towards P9. But there's your confirmation. Davidson, Hibbert, Fawkes, Chester Fawkes, a strong podium in the end really. Elias Sammy, Ethan Owen, Reggie Chandler, Chapman, Vertigan and Batch. Vertigan ended up finishing ahead of Batch in the end, and Ivans Veronins rounds off your top 10. And that is your Walter Swift final for this weekend. Kind of denied the grandstand finish between, as Dirk has coined it this weekend, Hibbertson. But I'm sure they'll be back to fight some more, and great action nonetheless. Not sure what happened on the final lap between those two, but it is Davidson taking the win this weekend. And let's go from our Walter Swifts into our next category for the Honda Cadets. Alright, so no points on offer in the championship for our Honda Cadets, hence the guest grids that we've welcomed them to Trent Valley Kart Club for the last couple of rounds. This is the second round, but some valuable track time for our Honda Cadets. And at the front, between Srikantan and Archie Cannon, two other amazing drivers with nothing to choose between, like we had there with Davison and Hibbert for the majority of that race. Are we going to see the story repeating itself in Honda Cadets? We're just waiting for our drivers to come out on track for the final time this weekend. And whilst we do that, let's get a look at the grids for you and who's going to be lining up on pole position. It is Archie Cannon, crucially ahead of Shailen Srikantan, although as we've seen in previous heats today, that doesn't mean a lot on the first lap. It's toed and froed many a time. Jensen Culler, though, is on row 2 with Cian Doherty there in P4, Oliver Vickers, Archie Edgar, Reggie Cook and Alfie Love in P8. And then Austin Dowell, Isaac Young, Finn Hollis and Oliver Pask to complete this small but competitive Honda Cadet grid. So there they are, making their way through turn 1. And up through the bowl and across the bridge, with the green flags waving to indicate to them that they're all good to go. But remember, our Honda Cadets, the only standing start of the weekend, will use this valuable time to warm up their Honda Cadet karts and take a stop onto their grid slot. And Srikantan, I don't want to drop him in it here too much, but in the last race was picked out by our race officials as to be slightly too far in the grid slot at the start of this one, at the start of the last one, and then potentially at the start of this one. Also angled his car to the right to, well, clearly try and get in front of Archie Cannon, and has kind of done so again. The tyre's definitely on the line this time. Archie Cannon obviously has the advantage on the inside, and he's been asked to pull back again. Srikantan once again trying to chance the arm, and I think that's slightly... It's also close. I think the tyre's on the white line now for Srikantan. You can't blame him for trying his luck. Any mild advantage going off a pole, trying to take on Archie Cannon, formidable at the moment, racing around the UK, because the red lights are on. And who's going to take the trophy home for this one? We are away for Honda Cadets, and Srikantan looks like he might have got the jump. No, just about loses out. Once again to Archie Cannon on the, well, you would say the cleaner side of the grid. It becomes cleaner when you get down towards the hairpin, but starting off of the pole position for Archie Cannon, you could say a detriment, but we'll then have the inside and coverage line on Srikantan and straight into it here. Not messing about once again. Cannon tries to embed himself into the authority of this race, and Cannon leads Srikantan, and behind in third is Jensen Culler. And so Jensen Culler, this is sort of a rinse and repeat of our second heat for Honda Cadets. But will it stay as Cannon winning this one, or will Srikantan come on through to cause an upset to the Cannon awning at the end of our Honda Cadet race in 8 minutes and 40 seconds time, plus the 1 lap on top. Proof is in the pudding, and proof is in the driving. And coming off of the Litchfield Bridge there for the second time, It's not as easy as maybe the earlier races, because Jensen Colour is very well and truly in this one, ahead of our front two drivers. And it's rather than a top two, very much a top three at the moment, although Colour got a little bit out of shape coming to Bobby Game Corner, although look at the ground, it recovers there through the Mike Wilson complex. A fantastic grip coming through the final few corners, and is right in the slipstream of Cannon and Sturch. And all Jensen Colour's got to do is stay with these two out front, because as long as he can do that, be in the mix for the end of the race, when these two might have a scrap on the final couple of laps for the win, Jensen Colour could come on through to claim the victory and pounce from behind. So still, as you were, coming out of the second hairpin. And Archie Cannon just driving his race, looking forward, not needing to worry about behind too much yet. Very early on in this race, although as we talked about in the last Honda Cadet heats, when do you pick your moment? When do you dive down the inside? When might you surprise your rival in front of you that would be expecting a challenge on the last couple of laps? Do you go early? Do you have the pace to maintain to go early? Might you then, if you do go for the move, be putting not only the driver in front of you at risk, which is good for you, but also then yourself at risk from Jensen Colour behind here at the moment? And these two could get caught up, and Jensen Colour could then drive off into the distance and never to be seen again in the latter stages of the race. Too much work to do, and it's goodbye to any chance of a race win for our front two at the moment. Has to be oh so careful, very calculated risks at all times in the world of karting. The opportunity cost of chucking it down the inside and dive bomb to send it and take the lead of the race for a short moment might be detrimental to the rest of your race. But these three, no match for Cian Doherty and Archie Edgar behind in a battle of their own. It is a three-horse race for the win right now, and all these three you'd think would be on the podium, barring some miracle behind. But they get it all stopped down into the first hairpin, getting their braking spot on, not really trying to like follow the other driver or get distracted by the other driver in front of them, just minding their own business. So Canton points to Colour, the good old hand wave forward, the trusty hand wave forward to Jensen Colour, saying let's work together, or I'm going for him, or this is my position. It could mean a whole host of things. Usually working together, although that never really seems to come into fruition, because a corner or a lap later then turns out to be very short-lived as a strategy, and the driver behind will chuck it up the inside. Here's further back towards P8 in Finn Hollis and Isaac Young, Reggie Austin Dow towards the back of the grid, having their own little scrap. But towards the front here, Sir Canton pleading with Jensen Colour. Let's keep it going. Don't challenge me yet. We've got 4 minutes to go. Because you now look at, they're now letting Cannon break away a little bit. And Shaylin is all too aware in the previous races today, earlier on in the season as well, at the last guest grid in the last round, as Isaac Young goes up the inside there of his rivals and tries to fend off the challenge from Finn Hollis. So Finn Hollis will go back through for P8. Cannon just keeping himself in line, keeping himself busy, not looking over his head too much. At the front of the field, this is Finn Hollis though, back to 8th. And has got Isaac Young for company all of this race so far. There is Archie Cannon, back to your race leaders. 3 minutes ticking down all the time. Time running out for Shaylin Srikantan. Or you could argue he's wanting the clock to run down. This is exactly where he wants to be. Archie Cannon didn't seem to mind in the previous race once he got into the lead near the end that was the case. Although Shaylin Srikantan did lead a lot of the last couple of heats this morning and into the afternoon, and then Archie Cannon was also very happy then to become the hunter and didn't mind that either. So seems to be comfortable in both positions at the moment, but just driving a incredibly impressive and consistent race right now. All three of these drivers keeping within each other. Jensen Culler in the slipstream of both the drivers in front of him goes around about 0.03 of a second quicker than Srikantan in front. Oh, and he's going for it. Jensen Culler has had enough of waiting behind Shaylin, and now Jensen Culler wants to be the one that challenges Archie Cannon, and now Shaylin's going to get, you'd imagine, really frustrated with this, because if Jensen Culler can't keep up and these two keep battling here for the other steps on the podium, Archie Cannon is going to run away with this one. This is what we might have predicted a few laps ago. And if they're going to have any chance of catching Archie Cannon now in the final minute and a half, they need to recompose and realign. Otherwise, this race, you might as well hand to Archie Cannon on a platter. He doesn't mind at all. You can battle all you want behind. And given the gap was so close before, has Shaylin Srikantan got the pace in the slipstream to close back up to Archie Cannon and reduce the deficit? You can't blame Jensen Culler for going for it, but maybe if you were a strategist and you might be thinking when to go for it, you might have waited another lap, maybe like now, to go for it, maybe even on the final lap. But when the door opens and you see it there, it's hard not to take the opportunity to go through. Shaylin choosing to stand by right now. Not going to go for it. The sixth sense hasn't kicked in yet that there's an opportunity. These three absolutely neck and neck. They have been consistent right throughout this race, apart from the last year. And then see what I said earlier about Shaylin Srikantan. I said earlier about drivers looking over their shoulder and they're not paying attention to what's in front of them, and as a result got caught out wide on the grass, looked back over his shoulder to look forward and found himself with a complete lack of grip. That's allowed Jensen Culler to come through for second, and Shaylin must be absolutely beside himself that he's fallen for that. One of the easiest tricks in the book, self-inflicted. And Archie Cannon now on the penultimate lap is going to try and have to fend off a new rival. Jensen Culler now firmly in second place. Could this be the turn of the books that we might have been expecting a few laps ago? It didn't seem possible, but Jensen Culler is well in the right position to affect the lead of this race. And now Srikantan needs to get a shimmy on if he wants any sniff of a chance of being in the hunt for this one. It doesn't look like he's going to have the chance to do it though. If these two drivers keep going at this pace, he's not going to close back in, although Archie Cannon had a bit of a wobble into the Mike Wilson complex. Jensen Culler closed right back in. Jensen Culler was going for it. It's the final lap now. Across the start-finish line, Archie Cannon hugs the inside apex of the first chicane through the second and takes a straight defensive line, breaks straight, and then takes the inside line of the apex. Where have they gone? What's happening? Srikantan goes into second. He goes ahead of Jensen Culler. Has Srikantan got the pace to catch up to Archie Cannon, or is he going to be too busy fighting Culler from behind? I think Srikantan knows that this is a very tall order for now towards the end of this race, and he must be replaying back in his head just a lap or so ago. You can see the bow of the head there, that he dipped those tyres into the runoff, into the grass, and Archie Cannon looks over his shoulder, doesn't want to fall foul to the same thing. Sturch though is there. He has clawed back. Archie Cannon soaring at the wheel. Has Sturch got the pace out of the last turn? Cannon's going to have to go defensive, I think. He's going to have to run him to the line. Archie Cannon, is he going to take victory? It went down on the outside. Oh, it's so close. There's 0.02 of a second in it. But Archie Cannon takes the victory for Honda Cadets once again, showing that he deserves to be at the top of this class. Sturch has to settle for a whisker of a gap in second place. Jensen Culler got repassed by Shaylen. A valiant effort though to be at the front of this race. He settles for third while setting the fastest lap of the race. Cian Doherty, Archie Edgar, Oliver Vickers in 6th. Your provisional results here: Alfie Love, Isaac Young, Reggie Cook, Finn Hollis, Austin Dow and Oliver Pask in 12th, the 12th and final place. Well, there we are for Honda Cadets. As I said, it's all for pride this weekend. It doesn't have any bearings on the Trent Valley Kart Club Championship. It will be, though, feeling very good in the Archie Cannon camp with some good momentum at the moment and making that decision to move teams recently and then finding a new groove straight away in the world of Tim Parrott Motorsport and giving them some great support to Archie Cannon along with Edgar and Love in the Honda Cadet grids as well. Right, we'll go from Honda Cadets into our Junior X30s. Here we are then on what is turning into be a nice day here in Lincolnshire. It's turned out to be alright. It's been overcast for most of the day. Still quite overcast here. But plenty of great conditions and sun rays to hit down here on the tarmac and asphalt of PF International. If you're just joining us halfway through the afternoon, my name is Jake Peach and we're bringing you live coverage of our Trent Valley Kart Club Championship for round 4, and we're about to get into the Junior X30 category for our final this afternoon. Equally as competitive throughout our heats. Let's see who's going to be lining up on pole for this one and to take the crown here this weekend. George Edgar with a great performance in the last couple of heats. Had it quite a hard work to do though, but he came back through eventually towards the front. He starts pole for this one. Zach Shampney, George House, Milan Tomlinson is on the second row of the grid. Alfie Brown, Sigmani Kira, great performance from them up in P6. What can they do from there? John Foley Jr. and Nathaniel Hodges is in P8. Freddie Wood, Enzo Battarazzi, Katie Donaldson, Max Mason, Orion Mater, Sophie Campbell, Henry Clark and Charlie Blenkinsop is in P16. Aaron Richardson, Simeon Stone and Jake Flewitt down there in P19, gutted when he was leading up at the front of the race. Might he be able to perform a miracle from there? On to row 11 on the grid. Jacob Backler, Archie Rogers-Tyler, William Vater and Harry Bacon down to P24. And Devin Taylor, James Nolan, Izzy Wykes, Cavan Hayes, Barney Copley, Jack Wish, Ayrton Lima Evans and Katie Clark. And Archie Lee Bullock and Tom Seamarks rounds off your 34 runners in our Junior X30 final. So here they are then. And they're going to slow the grid right down here because we're going to wait for a lot of our drivers to find their place where they need to be in the grid. And I'd like to say we've maybe just about done it, although there are still some gaps in between our field. But Are we going racing? Yes, we are. We're happy to get it underway. And into turn one, straight away, is George Edgar to retain the lead, but it's all going on behind. And a kart getting up onto the back of a rear bumper in the background there. One of the, I believe, possibly one of the lighter blue coloured karts in the background. And all fighting for position now, jockeying to find where they'll settle and fit into this race. The likes of Alfie Brown, Millen Tomlinson, Zach Champney at the front of this one. But out careering into the lead once again, George Edgar. Look at the gap once more, enjoyed by a leader at the front, whilst the second, third and fourth and fifth places are all squabbled between behind. It's a brilliant sight for the person in first, and the gap already opening right up here in Junior X30. Across the line, look over the shoulder, must be an absolute country mile in his mind. This early on in the race is Edgar, followed by House, Brown, Champney, Tomlinson. Sakmani Kira retains her starting position in sixth. Nathaniel Hodges, John Foley Jr., Enzo Batarazzi and Katie Donaldson down to P10. Alfie Brown on the brakes. What a move off the brakes and on the inside, letting the kart roll into the first hairpin. Lovely stuff from Alfie Brown on George House, but George House comes back through, and then Zach Champney is trying to get in on the act as well, but nothing doing. So George House was momentarily passed by Alfie Brown, but Alfie Brown couldn't get it stopped. Let's go Alfie, George and Jacob, says Dirk. Gillian Bennett says good luck Aaron Richardson in this one, sitting down in P11th at the moment from Gillian Bennett, saying we're so proud of you. Hopefully he can hear your voice and your comment through his helmet. Let's see where he'll end up at the end of this one. Zach Champney then in the 61 towards the back there. George Edgar at the front here, followed by Ewan House. Alfie Brown gets it stopped on the brakes, so I say that. I think he locked up slightly, and that lets through Zach Champney into third. Alfie Brown will be back again, but got all out of shape into the second hairpin and had to concede that one unwillingly. And Zach Champney goes through onto the podium. Still a long way to go in this one though. George Edgar and George House, Zach Champney, Brown, Kira, Tomlinson, Hodges, Batarazzi, Donaldson. Aaron Richardson now up into the top 10. So some good points to take through. There on your screen was Sakmani Kira in the distinctive livery out of all of these, and finding hopefully a way down into turn one. Oh, Alfie Brown, no, it's Zach Champney rather, trying to get around the outside of George House. George House keeping it defensive and doing a good job of that as well. Stays in front, just about warded off the threat from behind from Zach Champney, who really sent it on the inside. Wise to it though, and holds off any threat from behind for now. I'm sure that'll come back to bite them. Sakmani Kira in that Fusion Motorsport livery here, trying to find a way through. There they are on your screen, the 44, vying to make progress through this race. Caught in a bit of a traffic jam at the moment though, in a bit of a train. Although I say that, look, was that a move up the inside on the bridge? No way did they just do that. Sakmani Kira just went up the inside into third on Alfie Brown in a place where you shouldn't really overtake here at PF International. Another stellar overtake this weekend at Trent Valley Kart Club. Wow. Just when I think an overtake is not possible in certain parts of the track, I'm gonna prove wrong. So we've seen back in the other race, a dive down the inside and around the outside from 2 or 3 karts into the first hairpin. We've just seen a move up the inside, off of the Lichfield Bridge from Sukmani Kira. Whatever is next? The racing brains of some of our drivers out there at the moment, the talent that is on show is exemplary. Now they've got to use that same intelligence to carry themselves through the rest of this race and progress as high as they want to, or the driver in front or the racing gods will let them. George Edgar leads this one at the moment with 4.5 minutes on the clock plus 1 lap, by around about 7/10 of a second. It's a comfortable gap, but it can easily come down quite quickly. Although I'm not sure how much George House is eating into the gap. I think George Edgar is managing it pretty well at the moment. The fastest lap of the race, Aaron Richardson has got that right now at the moment. The fastest lap, and a 57.1, which is 5/10 or so, about 4.5 quicker than our race leader at the moment, George Edgar. There goes Champney again on Alfie Brown. I think we get 2 karts in one there. I'm trying to see. I'm not too sure. There's Sukmani Kira, who is no longer on the podium. So it's Zach Champney on Sukmani Kira, who's in 4th. Sukmani Kira down to 5th. And a shame to see them not being able to maintain their position out front, but they're still, again, in a great position. They're in this front group. George Edgar was enjoying a lead of about 7/10. It's come down to 4/10 of a second. Is George Edgar starting to get spooked in this one as Zach Champney goes up the inside of Alfie Brown down towards the first hairpin. Look at Alfie Brown pointing ahead. Don't worry about me, just let's keep on going, because we've got Sukmani Kira all over the back of us. Sukmani Kira trying to go around the outside, will switch it back to the inside. Decides to stay on the racing line for now. Nothing doing there with Alfie Brown. Staying staunch, staying stubborn. Sukmani Kira though wants to go up the inside. Tries to. Finds a gap. Who else has found a gap there? I think that was Freddie Wood in the 38 finding a gap through for Future Motorsport. It was into the final complex. 2 minutes or so on the clock. Edgar, House, Champney, Brown and Sukmani Kira, Millen Tomlinson, Richardson up to 7th place. Nathaniel Hodges, Freddie Wood, Katie Donaldson. The gap at the front is now non-existent between Edgar and George House, and it's closing all the time between our 3rd, 4th and 5th places as well. How much can this group of 2 become a group of 5? What a move up the inside from Sukmani Kira on Alfie Brown. These 2 have had a right old ding-dong throughout the race. What fantastic moves we've seen throughout the last few minutes here at PF International. What is in store for the final few stages of this race, God only knows. As George Edgar comes across the line, there's only about 0.2 of a second between him and George House into the bowl for what's probably going to be, I would say, the 3rd lap, the 3rd from last lap. So we're on our 3rd final lap here. There's going to be 2 to go after this, I reckon. And George Edgar getting it stopped into the hairpin. He knew that he was going to have to soak up this pressure towards the end of the race. George House has managed to flick a switch in their performance and finding that extra gear that you need to get towards the front of all of these amazingly competitive grids. Aaron Richardson, even more so now, still finding progress through the grid, up into 6th place. Sukmani Kira setting the pace, and a 56.9. Sukmani Kira, the first driver into the 56s. So really setting the timing screens I like the pace is there for them right now. And trying to get the braking right into hairpin 1, but not quite doing it. And George Edgar really is up against it now. 0.07 of a gap in the last sector. It's essentially only a tenth more, but it's still nothing to choose between George House and George Edgar. They go on to the final lap. Who's going to take the victory of this one? He points ahead. Does George House point ahead because he wants the race victory, or because they want to sail away from Zach Champney? They're giving up time here. Look at Zach Champney coming back towards them. Over the Litchfield Bridge, George House keeps pointing ahead. Is scared of third place behind in Champney closing down. Do they want to leave this last lap scrap to the final sector? He's constantly pointing ahead, trying to distract George Edgar maybe, in playing to the psychology. Or is George House going to let George Edgar have this win in Junior X30? Surely not. George House is trying to do everything he can, you'd think, right now in the final sector, but George Edgar is going to come around the final corner, and maybe with some interesting teamwork, George Edgar takes victory here ahead of George House and Zach Champney. Sukhmani Kira, a fantastic fourth place in the Junior X30 final here at PF International. Alfie Brown, Aaron Richardson, Freddie Wood, Katie Donaldson, Milan Tomlinson, Nathaniel Hodges, and John Foley Jr., Jake Flewitt, down to P12 in the end. Recovery. A good one there from Jake Flewitt, up 7 places to P12, but unfortunately no further in this grid, but can be very happy with that. I'll tell you who else can be very happy. Aaron Richardson, 11 places gain, up to 6th for Fusion Motorsport. That is going to do the world of good for the championship tally in Junior X30. And Aaron Richardson won the first round for Fusion Motorsport. But goes on waiting for a victory once again. So our Junior X30 final done and dusted from Junior X30. And then we'll go from Junior X30, we're getting through our finals very, very quickly, to Senior X30. So back again for another final, Senior X30 now. We jump up a gear to our oldest class alongside the Senior Rotax, which will be our final race of the day. Our Senior X30s with 10 minutes plus 1 lap to decide who is going to take home the crown in this one. And Hayden Eldridge, who is leading the championship at the moment, I know he fell down towards the back of the last grid. He had to retire in the last one, did Hayden Eldridge, and where's that going to put him in the grid for this race? Alex Wiley might also be up there as well, but don't count out other drivers like Oliver Meek as well, who's sitting in 7th in the championship at the moment, and Ethan Woodward, who is sitting in P10 at the moment, the biggest climber in the last round, at round 3 in the final, P22 to P9. Let's see where Ethan Woodward's going to start, as well as Hayden Eldridge, and get you the grids for our Senior X30 final. So here we go. Nat Johnston, who has been performing well in the last couple of heats. Morgan Moore is up there. Harrison Mackey, Aaron Brown, Sam Lewis, Harry Cottrell, Tristan Powell, and Cameron Edmonds is on row 4. Lewis Bird, Aaron Lask, Alistair Cresswell, Dominic Parabok, Ethan Woodward. There he is, the biggest climber of the last round. What can he do from P13? Ryan Gill, Max Yule and Ben Cuts-Bland is P16. And then is Hayden Eldridge in P17. What a mountain to climb in this one. It would be a Herculean feat if he could come home and take the victory in this one. Alfie Gallagher, Reece Newburn, Alex Wiley as well, down there in P20. CJ Bennett on the 11th row of the grid for Bailey Brooker, Oliver Meek and Macy Hitter, P24. Isaac Marsh, Noah Sales, Cole, Archie Cole, Charlie Philp, Warren Russell, Jensen Buckingham and Bradley Heath to 32nd, and our final two runners in this one, George Wang, Ethan Higgins, rounding off your Senior X30 grid for this final. It seems like our poleman of Nat Johnston was an absolute mile ahead of the field there, but they found their way back towards each other. There we go. And doing some final warming of the tyres, as you'd expect, to get underway for our Senior X30 final. And they slow right down into formation. And they're going to come into the tram lines and they'll build up the speed. And no, we've got an issue for one of the carts in the background. And we are going round again. Our race starter spots that. Gutted. Feel absolutely gutted for that driver in the background. I was trying to see who that was. I think it's caught up to the back. Not too sure who that was with the problem. I think that might have been Ethan Higgins. Just towards the bottom of the timing there, but we'll do an additional formation lap. As a result, I think the car in question clogged and choked up a little bit in waiting to go racing. And they'll just make their way through into the third and final, making sure they're at a good temperature as well. And now the field will hopefully form again, although this looks pretty messy, I'm not going to lie. I don't think all of our drivers are going to be side by side and in formation by the time we get going. And is our race starter happy? Not sure if we're racing. Well, we are underway. It looked like a very slow start. It looked like a very strange getaway for some of our drivers. And a couple of drivers there getting caught into the bridge section, into the barriers. And we've got yellow flags under the bridge. They come off of the bridge for the first time. And, well, we are racing, even though we had a car give way in the background, and it is a full course yellow. Slow boards are out. Slow boards are out. The race isn't going to get underway to racing speed quite yet, but at least we had some action for Nat Johnston and Morgan Moore. So effectively, the race is neutralised. It becomes a effective safety car, does Nat Johnston out of the front, and that is a car that is definitely not going to be able to continue the rest of this action. That is Ryan Gill, who is obviously now towards the back of the grid. Full course yellow, and the slow boards are out. The time still ticks down then for our Senior X30s, and we'll go through. And Nat Johnston there with Morgan Moore, Sam Lewis, Harrison Mackie, Aaron Brown, Harry Cottrell. You can see a car just behind the barriers there being cleared away then. Can't be risking any high-speed racing if a car is on the inside there under the bridge. It's such a fast section of this track, one of the fastest probably in the UK, with the massive start-finish straight flat out under the Litchfield Bridge, especially unsighted as well for some of our drivers into the momentary dark. So a sensible decision by race control to instantly halt things there. But there was a kart that also found itself a little bit worse aware on the start again towards the back of the field. And so now our drivers will go one by one on the slow board procedure here. And we might be able to get the green flag going again. It all depends on whether the barriers are in a good state to get going again, and whether our marshals are all in a good position to make sure our drivers are in a safe spot. Look, we are going to go around again for another lap, so still on the slow board. So just taking the pace out of this race whilst we sort things out. Good luck to Ethan Woodward, says Susanna Woodward. Love Nan. Ethan Woodward has unfortunately dropped 4 places on the start. He's down in P17. But, you know, when we get racing again, it's the perfect opportunity with the field bunched to gain some positions. And now, as the clock ticks down, less and less time in this race will hamper the likes of Hayden Eldridge, who did make up 5 places on the start to 12th, but less time to work with to get to the front and try and get the lead of this race. And the field spread that will inevitably happen during a process like this on the slow board. And it does look like at the end of this lap, from what I'm seeing in front of me outside my commentary box, we'll hopefully be getting going racing again. The green flags are at the ready from some of the marshals I'm seeing in front of me. And our senior X30 final can get underway, and the green flag does indeed wave. They don't have to go 2 by 2, they can go 1 by 1 as we go off and out of the slow ball procedure into turn 1 again. And Nat Johnston retains the lead ahead of Morgan Moore, and no trades of positions quite yet. Sam Lewis further back, who gets put out wide on the bridge. Aaron Lask finds himself very out wide on the bridge. Is that Hayden Eldridge on the right hand side as well, getting all up on the side? Sam Lewis mounts the curb on the inside of hairpin 1 and just about holds third, but is going to lose it now, even trying to hang it around the outside on the grass. There's some grip out there, but not enough grip, because Harrison Mackie goes through for third. Johnston to the lead. It's now Mackie ahead of Sam Lewis. Powell, Cottrells, Edmonds, Cuts-Bland, Ewell, and yes, Hayden Eldridge up into P10, gaining even more places in a reduced time that he's got in this race to make any effect on the front of the field. Look at the progress there. There he is in the green. The second green behind there. I'm trying to make out. Well, it's obviously his teammate. There is Hayden. No, that's the 42. Yeah, thank you. That is Harry Cottrell in the other machine. So it's Harry Cottrell and then Hayden Eldridge further back. This is Harry Cottrell on your screen, battling with the 12. The 1-2-1 rather of Harrison Mackie, trying to pick all of them out. No, with Ben Cuts-Bland. It's all going on. Right, 42 of Harry Cottrell, battling with Ben Cuts-Bland in the green. Here you are on your screen with Harrison Mackie. This is for third and fourth. Sam Lewis behind your first 2 places. Sam Johnston, Morgan Moore. And there is Harry Cottrell. There is Hayden Eldridge in the other green car further back. There's Harry. And there is Hayden. So Hayden Eldridge still in 10th. Nat Johnston, interestingly, under investigation on our race leader, half a 10th ahead, or half a second rather, of Morgan Moore, out in the lead. A nice dive to the inside there from Max Yule on Harry Cottrell. And now Hayden Eldridge wants to go in front of a teammate, Harry Cottrell as well. So Eldridge does go through. Doesn't want to be held up and goes up to 9th place. Cottrell drops down to P10, 2 places in a short sequence of corners. Not really ideal for his race at the moment, but thinking of the long game, if they've had this discussion before the race, Eldridge leading the Senior X30 Championship at the moment. Any help from your team or your teammates around you, perfectly valuable for the end of this 2026 campaign. It can make all the difference towards the end of the championship. Oh, and round at the top of the hill, all out of sorts there. Is that Alistair Cresswell further back? I'm trying to see who's involved in that one. But 2 or 3 cars got caught up on the exit of Litchfield Bridge, trying to challenge each other. And 2 does not go into 1. Further back, battles going on all around here. That's the 44 of Isaac Marsh that was on your screen coming through. An amazing start-finish straight here at PF International. They can really open up the full power of the machines underneath them. Coming down into the hairpin. There's Ben Cuts-Bland and Aaron Brown. So the battle between Ben Cuts-Bland and also Tristan Powell too. Ben Cuts-Bland, I think, has got ahead of Tristan Powell up into 5th place. He certainly has. So Ben Cuts-Bland having a fantastic race, up 11 places now into P5. It's been a great, well, pardon the pun, cut through the field. There's been nothing bland about it. It's been very good indeed. Up into 5th. It's going to do no harm for the championship standings. After we finished here today, who goes up the inside there in the 175, making a way back through? It looks like Max Yule up the inside of Aaron Brown for P7. Back on your screen here, Tristan Powell and Aaron Brown having a right old ding-dong in this part of the race. Just ahead you can see Aaron Brown. This is Max Yule and Tristan Powell. And there is Hayden Eldridge. Right, he's in 9th. He's right on the back of Max Yule. He's not going to win this race, I don't think, barring an absolute miracle. But he's going to collect some valuable points for the championship if he gets in front of these 2, in front of Tristan Powell, in front of Max Yule. And he does go up the inside of Tristan Powell. That's going to be 8th place. That's 1 picked off. And now he's got Max Yule in his sights. And look at the other drivers scrapping ahead. He could be taking advantage of this if these 2 don't come out very well. Hayden Eldridge knows it. He closes right up on the braking. And he's going to dive to the inside. Hayden Eldridge takes Max Yule as well. And Eldridge is up into 6th place. More points in the bag, valuable championship points. This could make all the difference. He's in 7th. He's now chasing after Aaron Brown in 6th. Coming through, but to take the checkered flag, Hayden Eldridge is going to take a whole load of points. He points to the flag, he points to the checkered flag, he points to P1 in the air because he has won the Senior X30 final here at PF International. Nat Johnston is your race winner ahead of Morgan Moore. Sam Lewis takes an impressive podium. Harrison Mackie, Ben Cuts-Bland though, with one of the drives of the race, up 11 places into 5th, followed by Aaron Brown. Hayden Eldridge recovers his weekend up to 7th, up 10 places in the end. Tristan Powell, Max Yule and Cameron Edmonds rounds off your top 10. And there were a fair few drivers under investigation there towards the end. And I don't think that's going to have much bearing on the results towards the end. Bradley Heath was under investigation. Tristan Powell was under investigation. Aaron Brown was under investigation. And also the 15 of Nat Johnston, who was under investigation. So, well, I mean, there's nothing's come of that yet, but Nat Johnston is your race winner for now in Senior X30, and that does for all our X30 action. We are getting towards the conclusion of our action here at Trent Valley Kart Club today. Let's get on to our penultimate race in Junior Rotax. Well, it's turned into a lovely evening here at PF International and into our final two races. Great conditions for our last two races of our Senior Road Tax, the final one to bow us out today. But before that, it's always thrilling. It's always on the edge of your seat stuff in Junior Road Tax. Let's get a look at the grids and see who is going to be facing off in a very, very competitive field. And I think this is probably the most competitive, and in terms of form, that I've seen all of these drivers in the mix so far in this season in 2026, whether it's here or in the other championship. This is going to be a battle for the ages now that they're not teammates. Zach Turner, Ewan House on the front row. Tom Reed, Ronnie Smart, Marcel Popical, John Richardson is 6th. He is one to watch for sure. Teddy Cooper, Charlie Very is on the 4th row as well. Cooper Campbell-Lees right up there in the earliest races today. Stanley Stafford, Ryan Rapini. These are all names that can absolutely take a race victory. George Fountain, James Fabricius, Noah Moulton, Oliver Peters, Casper McAllister knows how to be up there as well. Theo Bradshaw, Harry Holland, Oliver Fabricius. Now, watch out especially for Emerson McAndrew Uren. Charge through the field in our other heats. And God knows how far he can come through the field in a longer race in this one. The rest of your grid: Harry Mike Waldron, Max Wheatley, Beasley Ivanov, Smith, James Tate, Hayden Fisher and Alex Lynn down to P32. And then you'll have our 4 and final runners from our B final earlier on: Liam Dooling, Jay Singh, Goodson and Mason Gray towards the back of the grids. Well, Junior Rotax, if I'm honest, it never, ever, ever, ever disappoints. I'm yet to do a Junior Rotax race where I've not come out of it out of breath. How are we going to get on for this one? Good luck to Theo Bradshaw, Zach Turner, Noah Moulton, says Dirk. Abby Smart says good luck to Ronnie Smart. Keeping it in the family, and why wouldn't you? Going off the second row of the grid. But how is this going to get on with Zach Turner and Ewan House? And don't actually count out Tom Reed at the front either, because has been right there in the first couple of rows all weekend. Here we go then, the drivers coming gingerly into the tram lines, and the lights go out and we are away and racing, and instantly trying to come across is Ewan House to cover off Zach Turner. Some drivers off onto the grass. Thank goodness everyone found their way and didn't get collected. I'm not sure if that was Charlie Very. I'm just guessing if that was the driver that was off to the side. It definitely looked like his livery. Whether it's his helmet or I'm not sure. But here's Zach Turner getting instantly challenged and has to brake so late and cut off the line into the first hairpin. Fantastic defensive, decisive driving from Zach Turner. Where has Ewan House ended up though? He's given an absolute mountain to climb now going through. There he is coming back through on the inside. To be fair, he's only in third. I thought it was way worse than that as he start, but that's much better. This is not great. Who is that involved? Down towards the bottom of the grid, Kevin Ivanov tangling up with possibly Alex Lynn. We'll see as they fall down through the field. For now, it's Zach Turner, Tom Reed and Ewan House. Your top three driver off into the banking at the bowl section as well, getting caught on an inside wheel of a rival. We continue though into the first hairpin. Zach Turner's got an absolute handful here until the end of this one. And he gets passed around the outside, tries to attempt it to beat. Ewan House just about keeps his car going as he bumps on the grass like it's some bucking bronco that he's trying to stick on at a house party, and keeps his Jack's Motorsport machine somehow in the right direction, using his body weight and balance perfectly to keep it going. Look at that move up the inside there. What's a dive from, who was that? That's a 165. It can't be that, yeah, 165, not 265. It's Oliver Peters. Found a way through the final complex of the Mike Wilson complex and found a gap on the inside of space that really shouldn't have been doing it. Had absolutely no right to throw an overtake into those final few corners. Where's Zach Turner off to? Looks like he was off to the shops on the mound, and he's come back onto the asphalt. And he's just about maintained the lead. He's got some company though on the right hand side. And the Cato Motorsport car of Marcel Popocool really challenging Zach Turner now and his authority in this race. And this weekend, Zach Turner had it pretty easy in the first heat. The second heat ramped up a little bit, but still came home to claim a decisive victory. Still lots of jockeying going on in this first part of the race. It's Zach Turner, followed by Popocool, followed by Smart. Oh my goodness, look at where McAndrew Ewan is. He's up to fourth. He's up 16 places from this race start. Amazing performance. Keep an eye on, that's Ronnie Smart. Keep an eye on 2-3-3. McAndrew Ewan in this race. He means business to go towards the front. If you think Zach Turner's quick in the pace, well, wait until Zach Turner and McAndrew Ewan face off in not too long a time. Marcel Popocool to the front meanwhile, in front of Zach Turner. And there, in third, there's Ronnie Smart. McAndrew Ewan in fourth. He's got to try and hold off Ewan House as well. The talent in this field is absolutely second to none. There goes McAndrew Ewan, ahead of Ewan House. He's now into fourth. There is absolutely no stopping McAndrew Ewan in this race. It's quite incredible. He started 20th. He's now fourth. What is beyond him in this race? Oh, a retirement. Another retirement there for the 221 out of this race for Jamie Riches for Global Karting. He won't see any further part in this Junior Road Tax final. At the front, we go back to Marcel Popocool, Zach Turner, Ronnie Smart, still out front in threes. And where's McAndrew Ewan? There he is, trying to tag on to the back of these three. If these three keep fighting, it's not going to take long for McAndrew Ewan to come on through and try and tag on to these guys further on. There's your 165 again. Oliver Peters making some more moves. Made a move here, actually, a couple of laps ago on the inside of another rival. Had no right to make the move round the outside. 5 minutes and 1 lap on the clock. Who's your money on in this one? Zach Turner is somehow still in the lead of this one, retaining it. But Ronnie Smart's going round the outside to try and find some space in front of Marcel Popocool. There's nothing there. And there's McAndrew Ewan right in the mix here. So is John Richardson. Where is this going to go? John Richardson decides to go high and wide. McAndrew Ewan gets caught on a go-kart. John Richardson is round as well. After all the hard work from Mackenzie Ewan, looking like he was going to come through in that one, gets caught up with Ronnie Smart, and that is the end to the fairy tale that we thought we might be having through that race. James Fabricius has got a technical flag in the meantime. Kevin Ivanov is under investigation, and we've been robbed, absolutely robbed, of an amazing cut through the field from Mackenzie Ewan, who falls way down through the field. It's now all eyes to the front between Zach Turner and Marcel Popocal, with Ewan House nowhere to be seen. Richardson straddles the curb, manages to balance his car and keeps it on the black stuff just about. Hopefully not too much debris on his tyres that he's picked up, and the marbles and the grass will quickly get rid of that, I'm sure. Further back here into the hairpin, I think it was one of the Guy Cunnington Racing drivers. Further back, trying to get it all stopped into there, and indeed it was. I think it was James Tate. Yes, James Tate down in P12. There he is, going into and around the final bits of the Mike Wilson complex. Takes some exit curb and around there. Zach Turner, I thought he might have this in the bag, you know. Especially this stage of the race, he sort of comes into his own. Ewan House is a second and a bit off of Zach Turner out front. Those two might not be able to challenge each other towards the latter stages of this race, but if Popocal and Turner get into a fracas in the next couple of laps, again, it can flip on its head in an instant. Defensive driving there from Stanley Stafford, trying to hold on to 7th place with Harry Holland behind. And diving down the inside there, I think it was Tom Reed. There's a kart in the background there, just coming through the first hairpin now, that is well out of this one. Tom Reed holding off Harry Holland. John Richardson, unfortunately with the earlier comings together, finds himself in 10th place. Amazing to still be in the top 10, to be honest with you. Ewan House though, starting to turn up the wick here. Fastest lap of the race, 58.7. A 10th quicker than second place Marcel Popocal. 0.3 of a lap quicker than the first place man, Zach Turner, right now. Here's the lead battle. Zach Turner, Marcel Popocal. And there comes Ewan House. Ewan House out of nowhere has found this time in his pocket, and he's trying to go up the inside of Zach Turner. Zach Turner shuts the door. Ewan House has got to pick his moves so smartly here, because he knows that Zach Turner will just make absolute living hell for him and can drop him right down with a grid so closely packed together here, down to P5, 6 or 7. Further down through the order, a minute on the clock plus 1 lap. We got a couple more laps in this race, and Ewan House tries to pivot towards the inside. Zach Turner covers it off. These two, absolute battle for the ages in Junior Rotax. Class of the field in 2026. Ewan House left Coles Racing to join Jack's Motorsport. There's no team orders at play now. It's all for themselves. Ewan House to the inside. Oh, he gets caught on the inside by Zach Turner. And now Marcel Popocal goes on the inside because Zach Turner shut the door late on Ewan House. And Ewan House now collects the back. Well, further drivers down the order. Oliver Peters as well. My goodness, it's all, again, like I said, turn on its head here. And now it's actually Cooper Campbell-Lees out in the lead ahead of Zach Turner. I bet Cooper can't believe his luck of where this pace and momentum has come from in this race. Can Cooper Campbell-Lees hold on to the race victory ahead of Zach Turner? Zach must be beside himself underneath that bright green helmet of his coming up into the bowl section. Let's stick with our front runners, because this is really going to change the championship possibly for Zach Turner. Zach goes up the inside of Campbell-Lees. He chucks it onto the inside and somehow finds a way through on Cooper Campbell-Lees. Cooper Campbell-Lees must be furious, pushing him onto the outside mound there off the Litchfield Bridge. But we carry on on the final lap. Somehow, every single time, Zach Turner finds an answer. He finds a way to get to the front of the field, whether he's caught up with other drivers in the background, whether he looks down and out. He's not in the lead, but he somehow finds the pace from nowhere. The checkered flag is ready to be waved. And once again, Zach Turner becomes a 3-time winner in 2026. He's done it. Junior Rotax goes to Zach Turner. And that is what you call a great finish to the race. However, under investigation, Zach Turner. Oh, I can't cope. I can't cope. I really hope for Zach that isn't going to come out on the wrong side, but you feel a little bit worried for him. George Fountain also under investigation. Zach Turner, once again, getting his elbows out. Doesn't mind doing that. What absolute cinema. You popcorn out for that one. Junior Rotax delivering once again. Provisionally, I must stress provisionally, Zach Turner takes the win for Junior Rotax. It's a sentence I've said quite a lot in 2026. Cooper Campbell-Lees was in the lead until Zach came back through to clinch the victory. Cooper, Peters, Ewenhouse finishes in P5 in the end. So unfortunate getting caught up in the earlier scraps. Poppercall is 6th. Tom Reed, Harry Holland, Richardson finishes 9th in the end. And Alex Shepard rounds off your top 10. Wow. Yes, right, we go from Junior Rotax to our final race of the day. Can it get any better than that? Well, it might just be about to. And I think Zach Turner's mum, Carly, has just summed this last 10 minutes or so up perfectly. Just going for a lie down in a dark room. Well done to all the juniors. Can I go for a lie? Can I just go in the steward's room? Can I just go lie down? Oh, one more race, and I can just go lie down. Okay, fine. I'll find the stamina in me somewhere because we need to. I also want to see how Senior Rotax is going to conclude here. Today, who's this being wheeled down the start-finish straight? Not too sure who that is or why they haven't gone the other way. Oh yeah, maybe they just want to get out of the dummy grid that would be coming to them. Just trying to see, is that 166? So who was that in the previous? Alex Lynn for Jack's Motorsport, yeah, and unfortunate for his teammate Ewenhouse there. Still finished in 5th, but. What can you say? I'm sure there'll be many a debate had as to how those results are going to finish by the end of this round. But let's get onto your final grid of the day, your final racing action. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in here on Alpha Live's YouTube channel, because you have bought a SlipStream pass, which means you are seeing all of this amazing action right around the world, beamed into your front living rooms, into your front doors, wherever you might be. In the gardens. We appreciate wherever you're watching us around the world. And here we go for the final race of the day. Okay, starting on pole for Senior Rotax is Harry Bartle, Jared Fox-Whiteley, George Holbrook. How about that for a trio up front? And even a quadruple of Mikey Walker. That is a very tasty front four. Josh Turnbull is joined by another Joshua on row 3 in Joshua Smith. Ethan Martin and Adam Wooden is P8. James Lowther, Liam Hartley, Miles Roby, Joel Dixon Cohen finds himself down in P12. Can he recover through this one? And Lloyd Hare, who made the biggest climb in the last final in round 3, it starts P13. Victor Hansen, Preisner and Barham is P16. Ollie Goodyear, Liversedge, Drejean Bennett, Costello, Grun, McDermott, Truman and James King is P24. James Tester, Austin Johnson, Albie Lapper, Harvey Quick, Finley Jones, Rigas Pravalonis up there at the start of the weekend, down in P30. Rocco Valentina and Oskar Schierbeck is P32. And our final four that came through from the B final: Arthur Brownless, George Kay, Willow McIver and Liam Morelli for our final race of the day. Promises to be a good one, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be just that. It will not disappoint, I'm sure, if they've just seen how the junior Rotax played out. Well, we're in for a treat, everyone. We're into the tram lines for the final time today here at PF International. We are away and racing, and just getting a little tank slapper and I think a nudge on the right-hand side there was some of the Jax Motorsport contingent of Mikey Walker, maybe, I think, on that start. I think everyone else, though, pretty much found their way through pretty diligently, everyone behaving themselves. Down into the first turn, it's Harry Bartle leading the way for Jax Motorsport. And behind, I think, George Holbrook, yes, has jumped up into P2 for not for long, because Fox Whiteley on the inside goes to second. Holbrook wants to snatch it back, but has got to settle for third place. And there's your top three then, after the first lap, with Josh Turnbull bearing down on the final positions at the front of the field. He wants to get on the podium, does Turnbull, but for now it's Bartle, it's Whiteley, Fox Whiteley, George Holbrook, Josh Turnbull, Mikey Walker, Lowther, Martin, Smith, Ruby and Wooden. A dive to the inside there, further back towards sort of 10th or 11th place. There is Holbrook in the 60. He is currently leading this championship, but if it's going to stay like this, it might differ by the end of today, as well as Fox Whiteley goes up the inside. He's currently P2 in the championship. A race win would do him the world of good. Fox Whiteley in round 3 finished P2, came up 10 places. Can he go one better today and take the win home in senior Rotax? There's a lot of mileage though between him and the checkered flag, and a very determined Harry Bartle behind and Jax Motorsport teammate before he can claim victory on this one. And Josh Turnbull up to third now. Mikey Walker, don't count him out in fourth as well. It could be a Jax Motorsport 1-3 very soon, but Harry Bartle goes up the inside, reclaims first and has some company from Josh Turnbull in Coles Racing as well. He gets put out wide, he gets put further down, and now into the first hairpin. It is, I believe, it is a Jax Motorsport 1-3. The Jax Motorsport team down here in the grandstands must be loving it. There's two Coles Racing drivers going head to head as well, or they were for long. They got separated very quickly there. Turnbull and Lowther get split by Joshua Smith into P6. Racing through, where is Lloyd Hare going around the outside there as well? He somehow tried to make it stick, but when you get out that wide, there's no grip out there. And Lloyd Hare has got to settle for further down the order. Oscar Schierbeck, by the way, has a 5-second penalty. Lloyd Hare down to 14th after that mistake through the complex. The gap out front between Bartle back in front of Fox Whiteley. It's developing now to around about half a second. Jax Motorsport in dreamland to hold off Holbrook for the rest of this race and bring home a Jax Motorsport win. It looks looking like very likely that we're going to see a Jax Motorsport driver taking the win today. But it's not over till it's over. Holbrook is being chased by Turnbull and Joshua Smith in the Kinnick's UK car behind. Adam Woodham, Lowther, Martin, Liam Hartley. That's your top 10 right now with 6 minutes on the clock. Your third place man, Mikey Walker, sets the fastest lap of the race. Then pipped by Pravalonis, then Albie Lapper. We know he's got the pace, but hasn't been able to show it this weekend. Albie Lapper down in P21, up 6 places from the start. They all come off the bridge once again, hurtling to down towards turn 1, hairpin 1 rather. And some drivers finding the rally section here at PF International, thanks to their rival on the inside, and then return to sender for our PF plate man. Further down in Brandon Truman, there's a 5-second penalty for Finley Jones, by the way. The 1-2-3 down in P19 found his way up 10 places, but has got a penalty as a result to his name. And they come across the line again. Bartle. Now that gap between Bartle and Fox Whiteley has closed all the more. Mikey Walker sets the fastest lap of the race pace now. He gets to keep his fastest lap because it's a 57.08. It's 1/100th of a second off Fox Whiteley in front of him, but albeit it is a fastest lap by a very small margin. The point ahead from the Cold Racing machine of James Lowther there, making clear, let's work together, let's do the age-old thing and try and catch up to the front, because before long they'll be lost, and that is exactly not what George Holbrook and the likes of the rest of this field want to see. But rare is the dominance of having three drivers from the same team and awning up front, showing exactly why they all deserve to be there. The harmony within the Jax Motorsport awning this weekend seems to be going very well. They must be doing something right, getting all of their three drivers up towards the top, but George Holbrook is doing his very best to keep with them. They're all working together, our front three. George Holbrook's got it all to do on his own down there in fourth. Although he's setting the fastest lap, he's the first driver into the 56s, a 56.89 on the last lap around. So George is starting to use their, well, I guess, triple slipstream and reel them in. Turnbull's desperately trying to hold on to Holbrook as well and progress forward. But here is those front four just going through, and then further back, this is James Lowther with the next group of the best of the rest from 7th, 8th, 9th. There you got Lowther, Hartley, Wooden, Martin down to P10. Brandon Truman with the PF plate in 11th. Remember, he's under investigation coming off the hill. Lowther for Coles Racing. And braking into the first hairpin, Ethan Martin, 7th to 10th. Fancy to look up the inside of the Jax Racing machine there of Liam Hartley, but I don't think it was going to happen for him. Here to the front of the field once again. Here's Bartle, Fox Whiteley, still scrapping away. There's George Holbrook. Look at the gap that George Holbrook has been able to close in now. It's a four-way battle. It's a four-horse race. Who's got the most horsepower? Who's got the most ability? Who's got the most conviction to take victory in this one? The final race of the day. Who's going up the inside there? It's Fox Whiteley on Bartle. Didn't make it stick though. Is Fox Whiteley out in the lead? It certainly looks like he is. Yes, ahead of Harry Bartle, who's dropped down to second. Now Mikey Walker wants a piece of the action on the inside. Holbrook goes through though. Holbrook takes both of them potentially. Round the outside. No, he lifts off because he knows he's not going to take both of them. Two teammates that would possibly push him to the outside and see his race into another light year. It's absolutely not what George Holbrook wants, and a very smart decision, you have to say, if he wants to be in contention for the climax of this race, which is fastly approaching with all of that battling with George Holbrook that he made there. Fox Whiteley has established a half-a-second gap out front. He's going to currently go one better than he did in round 3 from the second step of the podium to take the win here today. But he's got a minute left on the clock. There's still plenty of time for things to happen. Holbrook's in third now. Mikey Walker drops down. Holbrook is right in the middle of this Jax Motorsport sandwich. He even points ahead though, acting like he's a member of the team. Let's go and get your teammate, says George Holbrook. After Harry Bartle, he's not messing about here. Fox Whiteley powers into Bobby Game Corner through Mike Wilson Complex. And so do the drivers that are following him. It's becoming a first back to almost a fifth or a sixth now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers. Yeah, first back to fifth. Whiteley, Bartle, Holbrook, Walker, Turnbull, Joshua Smith, Lowther, Hartley, Wooden and Barham, your top 10, the top 5 within a whisker of each other. Turnbull to Fox Whiteley, they're all there. Our top 4, certainly all there. Holbrook getting passed on the inside by Mikey Walker, who retakes the third step on the podium. But our front 2 runners as well are not done yet with this action. We're not even on the last lap yet though. Fox Whiteley doesn't want Bartle to go up the inside. They've got to be so careful between each other. Fox Whiteley just about holds first place. There's a yellow flag momentarily in the midsection in sector 2 of the track. But here we go. Our final lap for Senior Road Tax. Who's going to win this one? Fox Whiteley looks over his shoulder, sees where Harry Bartle is, where Holbrook's going to go. Where are they going to go around the outside? Is Bartle got the grip out there on the outside? No, nothing doing. Fox Whiteley knows that there's no grip out there. Shows him the door to the outside. He's going to have company on the inside. He goes left. Bartle trying to squeeze on the inside. He's found a gap on the inside and he's got it. Holbrook is in the mix though. Bartle's there, but so's Fox Whiteley. Holbrook gets passed by Mikey Walker. Who's going to win this race? No one knows. Fox Whiteley gets back in front. Bartle's in second. He doesn't want to match the number on his go-kart though. He wants to upgrade it to a number 1. Bartle's trying to find up the inside. Jared Fox Whiteley closes the door and they touched wheels. They touched on the front bumper. And on the edge of defence, Fox Whiteley is going to take the victory here in Senior Road Tax to take the first victory of the year for him, to add to our race winners already in Josh Turnbull and Jack Lilly. And that feels oh so sweet for Jared Fox Whiteley, who worked so hard for that one with his 2 other Jack's Motorsport teammates, the 3 of them going at it, but finishing on the podium in the end. A Jack's Motorsport 1-3, a great weekend for Jack's Motorsport as well. Apart from Oliver Liversedge down in P21, it's Fox Whiteley, Bartle, Walker and George Holbrook in the end. The might of Jack's Motorsport as a unit together. Too much to get involved with. Turnbull for Coles, Joshua Smith in 6th, James Lowther is 7th, Liam Hartley, Brandon Truman and Noah Barham in P10. That is all she wrote. Jared Fox Whiteley for Jack's Motorsport confirmed there as your race winner. Down towards P10. Wooden is 11th. Lapper P12. Dixon Cohen 13th. Schwiegas Paravalonis, yes, is to be confirmed because I think of the stewards further down. Finishing 14th at the moment, but then Preisner, Martin, Grun, Goodyear, Hansen, Roby, Liversedge, McDermott, James Tester, Schiervek, who had the 5-second penalty, I think, as well, Johnson, Dijon Bennett, and Finley Jones, followed by Costello, King, Kay, Morelli, Quick, McIver, Valentino, and Lloyd Hare, who did pull a crazy move, tried to run outside the Mike Wilson complex, and unfortunately didn't end up paying off, and has actually not paid off for his whole race. He's towards the back of the grid. Well then, just like that, once again, we're all done for round 4 here of the Trent Valley Kart Club. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you once again. And hey, it might have been British Grand Prix Day, but I think there was some fantastic action display shown here, and overtakes on adrenaline and then some. It's been so great to be with you for this SlipStream broadcast powered by Alpha Live. We'll see you for round 5 of the Trent Valley Kart Club Championship in a couple of months' time. Join us for Kart Masters here at PF International very, very soon as well. Keep an eye on all the details for that. My name is Jake Peach, and I will catch you very, very soon.